Hello everyone! Hey Ice Bunny, how are you? Hey everyone, it is I, Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole. Hey everybody, how are you doing? Happy Saturday to you all, whatever time of day it might be. It might be noon-ish, but it could be, if you are, I don't know, European, it could be 5 or 6 in the afternoon, evening, early evening, where you're at. Water. So happy wherever in the day-night cycle you are, everyone. Hi. So this is my 6:15 days I'm inspired to get my fingers back in the mud. Well, I'm glad you're inspired to do more pottery. You do your stuff. Enjoy doing the things that you love. That is my advice. So what do I want to tell you all? It's Saturday. This is my first Horizon, my PS4 stream in a while, because I was on vacation, and so I missed you all. I think I missed 2 Saturdays. I think it is Saturday. We're playing Horizon Zero Dawn. What else is happening? School starts for me next week. School starts on Tuesday, but I teach Monday, Wednesdays, so my first class will be on Wednesday, but I have got a big deadline tomorrow. What day is it? Today's not the 1st, right? Today's the 31st? Making a sync sounds tempting. Yeah. Today's the 31st, right? It is. Right. So I have... Thank you, Ice Bunny. So I have a deadline tomorrow. I have to write a letter tomorrow that's due tomorrow, and I have done almost all of the reading for the letter. I just have to read a book tonight so that I can finish this, so I can write this letter and send it all off. So I have to do that by tomorrow, but I also have to finish my syllabi and set up my course web pages, and I need to do that, before Wednesday, and really before Tuesday, so I can do all the photocopying. And I have got some fellowship stuff to do, and those I think are the 3 most... Oh, and then I've got some meetings I need to go to as well, like work meetings. Those I think are the most... And then I've got like 1,000 emails. 1,000 emails. 1,000. And I need to meet with people. So those are the most pressing work-related things that I have to do in the next 4 days. Yeah, in the next 3 days. But you know what, though? And I need to write a letter to all of my Patreons. So I need to make a Patreon post to let everybody know what I did in August. Although August, I feel like I didn't do anything in August, but I did. I went to Gen Con and did a lot of Gen Con stuff, and I've been having conversations, and yeah, right? Like I've been doing stuff. So like I didn't stream any RPGs, but at the moment my Patreon level is pretty low, so I can't stream an RPG necessarily every month at the moment, but I'm doing my best. Once I can get those Patreon levels up, then I can afford to pay a cast more regularly, and then I can do it. But that's what I'm working towards. But I did work on them when I was on a short vacation, but I did work, so that was really good. And now I'm back. And hello, Spider Mix. Cthulhu was in July, so we did the Cthulhu in July, and then August was me working on reading some stuff to do the next Cthulhu, and I would love to do the next Cthulhu in September, but September is going to be a little bit tricky, so it may, in terms of scheduling, so it may have to wait until October. But I will do the next Cthulhu either end of September or in October. So whoosh, that is going to happen. So there will be another Cthulhu, and I'm really excited about it. And then I really need to start thinking about here. Let's be upfront. I really need to start thinking about other games to run. And Trooper, why is society such that some people are super busy and some people have nothing to do? Krellin asks this question. I think it has to do with surplus farming, the invention of surplus farming, and then the subsequent need so that not everyone needs to be a hunter-gatherer or subsistence farmer. Once you have surplus farming, not everyone has to farm. And the minute not everyone has to farm, that means some people can do things other than farming or hunter-gathering, which means then we start getting specialization of labor. And once you start getting specialization of labor... Hey, by the way, students are back. They're moving in right now. So if you hear a lot of noise outside, it's because students have arrived. And then once you have specialization of labor, then you can start getting wealth disparity. And then you start getting people who need to work really hard and others that need to work less hard. Some people who have lots to do and others that have less lots to do. So I think surplus farming. That'll be my theory, Krellin. No, it is not a knock on my door. I feel like it is people moving. I feel like it's people moving in. I think students are moving in today. You would think, however, yeah, I think students are moving in today, and they are moving in noisily. This is my theory on what's going on outside. I don't even know. Students have cooties. Yeah, I feel it's like a little bit of hammering on the walls, dropping of bowling balls, strange other things, and hello, Mr. Awful McPherson, but also access to resources. Yeah, I mean, I will say, surplus farming does allow for stratification, but also surplus farming also allows for people to spend their time it allows access to resources. It allows people to sort of spend their time thinking about medicine or art or things other than just survival. So it allows civilization to develop. Yes, Krellin says it. Surplus farming allows science. It allows it allows a lot of things. And so there's a kind of a stratification that comes with it, but it also allows for development, right? So it's one of those things where it's such a mixed bag. And also, Rissa is correct. There is the sneaking of elephants into the dorms. It happens every year. People really want their small elephants with them in dorms because elephants are everyone's favorite pet, and they just get snuck into the dorms, and nobody knows why. Krellin says, science increases farming yields, which increases surplus farming. We're at a point where we only need 2% of people to produce food for everyone else. Mm. And then Mr. Awfulman person says, yet people still experience famine. Oh, yes. Or I suppose, conversely, we could only need everyone to do 2% of the labor. Elephants are against the rules. Ice Bunny says, isn't that also that we millennials are more forced to do more things than 68ers that got one job till retirement? I think I don't think that's necessarily true, Ice Bunny. I mean, I know millennials like to say that they do more than anyone else has ever done, and they're the most put upon and the most oppressed. Lots of people like to think that. I don't think it's true that millennials have to do more than boomers. And it is true that many boomers had jobs till retirement, but if your job was in a factory, you did a lot of work and it sucked to be you. Or if your job was in a coal mine. And so, I mean, millennials also have a bad life, and boomers screwed up a lot of things, and boomers are not my best friends. But and actually here, this is, I think, Krellin has the better point, right? I don't think it's true that boomers had to somehow do less work. Some boomers might have, but many boomers did not. But it is true that millennials get less for their labor than boomers did, right? So that's the difference, that boomers got more for their labor than millennials get for theirs. So that is, I think, more the point. Sea Spider says, I'm convinced that we're at a point where we could abolish work altogether if we wanted to. Same for Gen X. Yeah, Gen X got less for their labor than boomers did as well. So we still need 2% of labor. Like, there's still a bunch of labor we need to get done. Mr. Awful McPherson says, it's not the difference in loads. The difference is work has evolved and economies demand different resources and labor in comparison to manufacturing heyday. I'm a little parched right now. Yeah, I think this is one of these things where society has changed quite a lot in terms of labor practices. I mean, 1965 is just really different than now. Do you know what I mean? I mean, just everything about the world was just so different. But I think the problem is that we are, how do I put this? So life has changed a lot, and I think that sometimes people don't realize that, right? I think this is one of these problems. So for example, a boomer might say, hey, you millennials, no one talks about Gen X because we don't exist. Hey, you millennials, why are you complaining about all the things? I mean, when I was your age, I went to college and I didn't have any student loans. Why are you taking out so many student loans? And what the boomers are not recognizing is that college costs a lot more now than it did when they were in college. A lot more. And the basically adjusted for inflation wages that millennials are getting now are way less than the wages that boomers were getting then. So, right, the world has changed, and sometimes people don't recognize that that economies have changed, and that's a problem. That's all. And I don't mean all work. I mean the need for paid work. Ice Bunny just had a fight with her dad about German government pension. I have no idea what that fight was about. Krellin says, in my day, we went out and got a part-time job for $6 an hour and saved my money and bought a house, not realizing that $6 then would be like $30 now. Right. And I think that there's, and I think that there's sometimes a lack of recognition that then is not now. Right. And I think, okay, I'm gonna tell you all something. This is a thing I've been thinking about a lot. I've been thinking about this a lot. That I feel like we are currently in a moment where there is a general, oh, yay to Maggie. I see Kat there. I think there's a general lack of recognition that then is not now. Ice Bunny says that I don't think I will get my retirement paid by them, and it is so important for my dad. What is so important? Wait, is it important for your dad that you get your retirement? Is it important for your dad that he gets his retirement? Is it not important for you that your dad gets his retirement? Is it not important for you that you get your retirement? I need more detail. Trooper, a Gen Xer doesn't exist. Then is not now. Boomer, what? You don't exist? Who said that? That's so true. And the thing about then is not now is that I actually think it goes both ways. That there is, I see a lot of debates and arguments that do not recognize that then is not now and now is not then. And that happens in multiple directions. So, for example, I hear people saying, people now saying, that film from then is a bad film because it didn't use this language from now. But this language from now did not exist then. So that film from then cannot use the language from now. So that's not a fair critique of that film for not doing this thing then that is a thing you can do now, but you couldn't do then. Similarly, when people who were alive then say, well, back then I was able to do this with my part-time job, why can't you do this with your part-time job, not recognizing that then is not now. So I feel like there's a general, sometimes a lack of attention that then is not now and now is not then, and a little bit too much sort of in one's own space and not thinking outside of oneself a little bit, which I think is really important. Star Trek, the original is a bad show by the standards of today, but the standards of today exist in part because of trails blazed by the Star Trek, the original series. Yeah, and I actually think, and here's what I want to say. I think that it is possible to critique Star Trek, the original series, because not everything about Star Trek, the original series is good. But I think it's important to not, how do I phrase this? For me, I think it is important to critique things with an eye towards its context, right? So, for example, I wouldn't say, dang it, Star Trek, the original series is terrible because, somebody's watching me and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Thank you. So basically, I feel like go buy groceries. And by the way, thank you for the follow, Saint Guard. Welcome into the foxhole. We are going to play Horizon Zero Dawn shortly, but at the moment we're talking politics and philosophizing, right? And then we're going to play Horizon Zero Dawn. Join us. Krellin says, you can recognize that Islam as it is today is often oppressive and bad for women, and still recognize that Islam at the time of its inception was very liberating and supportive of women. Yes. And welcome in. And I think also you can so for example, I don't think it would be fair to critique Star Trek, the original series, by saying, you know what, there's no representation of genderqueer people in that Star Trek show from the 1960s. How messed up is that? And by genderqueer people, I mean people who say, hi, I'm genderqueer, and I use they, them pronouns. Because people were not necessarily using they, them pronouns in the 1990s, let alone in the 1960s. So that's not a fair critique of Star Trek, the original series, because the concept of genderqueer identity in the way that we have it now did not exist, in the way that we manifest it in this moment, did not exist then. There were other ways that what we would think of as genderqueer identity existed back then, but not in the ways that we see it now. So very often we may not be able to recognize it back then because we're only seeing it from our point of view now. I do think, however, we can critique Star Trek, the original series, for Kirk being a terrible captain, and there being a lot of sort of things that just don't make any sense in terms of military protocol, and we can talk about the ways in which right, there's a lot you can do there for a moment. Let's see, wait. That's how Christianity were for the lowest of class. Yeah, that's right. That is true, Mr. Awful McPherson. Krellin, like, women can worship separate from men is bad today, but there was a definite step up from women who have no place in worship whatsoever. Yes. Mr. Alpha McPherson says, Star Trek also saw including non-English oppressors as diversity, so there's plenty of problems there. Yes, right? So, oh no! Oh, wait, Sankard, before you leave, what RPGs are you playing soon? You have to tell me. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want to do. It's you know, you have agency. But I would love it if you would tell me what TTRPGs you're going to play soon. Urban Shadows. Ooh. I hope that the next, would you do, hello Anarchdubby, this is a choice, again, your agency. I would love it if you'd pop on to Discord after you finished and tell us how your game went, and tell us more about it, because I would love to hear more about it. Oh, thank you, Krellin. Krellin got me. I would love to hear more about it. And I think that it's like, I think that sort of noting that things exist in their time does not mean you cannot critique them. It's just that I think it's important to critique them with an awareness of their time period, right? And sometimes that also means that you're going to praise things from the past for doing things that we may not recognize now. Oh, good. So please do, Sankard, because I want to hear about it. So yeah, and I think that this becomes... It's important to note that things that were progressive then may not be progressive now, and things that are progressive now may not have been progressive then, right? There's some things we imagine as being forward moving now, but they work for now, but they don't necessarily work for then. And just sort of recognizing that 1969 was not today, and that sort of carries both ways. And I think that if we can sort of develop an empathy towards different time periods, if that makes any sense, a way of, this is, by the way, part of the book that I'm writing right now. I'm writing this book on transgender musicians, but it's also about history, and it's about the way that we should develop empathy for different time periods so we can make better critiques and praises. Rissa says, also, TV standards for censorship would have prevented some ideas, themes from being explored. Yes, right? So sometimes you can't have done things because of censorship. And then sometimes, and this is something I also notice, right, as the flip of that, sometimes there are things that are happening in past media. Good morning, Falcoma Venom, that are being explored, and are really interesting, but people today can't see it because they don't understand the coding of the time, right? So there was a lot of subtle things that were happening in media from the past that was like working around censorship in ways that if you knew what to look for, you'd see it and you'd say, oh my gosh, look at all these amazing, really interesting small details they're doing. But because they're not part of our protocol and we're not taught the codes now, we can't see them. So we think, oh, there's nothing interesting happening in those pieces, but actually sometimes there's a lot of really interesting things happening. We just don't know the codes because we're used to things being explicit and not coded. Do you know what I mean? I know what I mean. I know what I'm talking about here. Krellin says, nothing the progressivism of the past can be, noting the progressivism of the past can be an important tool of reform. While I, an outsider, can't really effectively tell Islam how to change, recognizing that Islam was liberating of women in its time can be a really effective argument from a reformer inside for why its policies should change now. Oh yeah, that's really good. Mr. Awful McPherson says, oh yeah, Raging Queens, very flamboyant women in literature of the era, representing lesbians, for example, not being able to use certain terms due to censorship. Oh yeah, totally. There are a lot of really interesting things that you can see in past things if you know what to look for. And also to understand stakes is sometimes actually really quite important as well. That is so what I think is so interesting in old art, finding out what contemporaries would have seen in them. Oh yeah, I love that, says Ice Bunny. Krellin says, Professor Daystrom in TOS was the most renowned and celebrated expert in robotics in the entire UFP, United Federation of Planets, and he was a black man. And at the time, that was a big deal, but today seems like nothing. Right, but it was a big deal. And I think that sometimes, and Rissa says, yeah, but you had to get it past the censor who was a human making choices based on their own personal agenda. Yeah. And I think that thinking about, for example, Uhura, people could say, oh, Uhura, she was wearing like she was like the communications officer, and she was wearing a short dress, and so there's nothing liberating about Uhura. And that might be from today's point, but at that moment, black women almost only could play maids and were just like not on TV. And so having her there and being an officer and not a space maid was like extremely revolutionary at the time. And when Nichelle Nichols wanted to quit the show, Martin Luther King Jr. said, no, you can't quit the show, this is so important. And like she inspired an entire generation of black women and black people to want to join NASA and to do things like, I mean, if we can't recognize the context of that moment, we can't see how important and revolutionary Uhura was at that moment. Even though we can sort of point things out. Yeah. And yet Uhura was a lieutenant on the bridge and outranked 2 non-black men on that same bridge. Right, exactly, right. And that was like this, that was so revolutionarily important. And let me tell you, I have critiques about the original series. I do. Just because we are sort of empathetic for a time period doesn't mean that we cannot critique something. It's just that it becomes important to make sure your critiques are fair critiques and that your praises are fair praises. And that really involves trying to understand that position, right? That position of that time, of that place. And, you know, if we can do that, then all of a sudden, I think we end up making better arguments. And we can end up seeing things that we might not have seen before. And it's like just about sort of thinking about the complexity of a moment. And that's really important. And again, it's not the same thing as like we're all going to sort of hold hands and be kumbaya, but it's about trying to understand, right, the circumstances so that when you do make a critique, either to reform or whatever, or to praise even, that you do so, right, within that context. And Krellin says they definitely could have done more with Uhura, which they could have, but at the time just being present was revolutionary, yes. And I think Krellin makes, see, and here's the thing, Krellin makes a really good point, right? That they could have done more with Uhura, and they could have, right? Like that is a true statement. And that I think is, right, I think that's a really good example of a really sort of like, I think a very productive critique where you're like, hey, you know what, they could have done more with her. But like, you know, like to sort of like, I think that's important to think about like, oh, hey, this thing has these failings in it here. And these failings sort of try to understand where do they come from and what's happening with them. And then say, okay, but here are these things that it's doing really an interesting thing. And I think just like sort of trying to sort of try to get to a sort of a nuance is what I'm going to say. Sulu as well, yes. Anarch W says, I really do not get hold hands and sing Kumbaya. What is that about? I will tell you. Nichols' viewpoint was, I don't do anything. There's no need for me to be here, right? While MLK had the view from the outside of, sister, just your presence says we're valid. Yes. So Krellin answers Anarch W's question. Hippies. So there's a song, Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya, oh lord, kumbaya. And it's actually from the Gullah people from this island. So these there's an island off of North Carolina where that is a small island of mostly black people. I think traditionally all black people, and they were people who basically escaped slavery and like hid out on this island. And so the black people, and they sort of stayed on that island and didn't have a lot of contact with outside of that island. And so that particular island, the black people on that island have a lot more African retentions than they were able to retain a lot more of their sort of African heritage than black people in other parts of the US. And the song Kumbaya comes from them. And in the 60s, hippies sort of took that song as part of like the peace movement, sort of like peace protests. And so the song Kumbaya is sort of well known for being part of peace protests and desires by hippies in the 60s to sort of spread love and positivity and fellowship. So that's where that, so it was like that's the travel of that particular song. Isn't that what Fought Findas sing? I think you probably mean Scouts. They probably sing it too, although it doesn't originate with them. But a lot of people ended up taking that song and then using it because it involves holding hands and fellowship. So like a lot of hippies and campers and etc. will all sing that song. You know? Okay. Let's do a little bit of this. When I drink, I get condensation in my hand. So we are playing Horizon Zero Dawn right now. We've just started the DLC, Frozen Wilds, which is super heavy intense. And the Lord God part, yes, as the Scouts are originally a Christian movement. And also, like, kind of like a quasi-military movement as well. You know, Krellin, sometimes video games are happening while I'm chatting. Like, it's, you know, we ready to dive emotes. This is one of those games. What was I gonna say? But yes, sometimes video games happen in the background while we're chatting. It happens. I never. Yes, they're called Scouts. You know, Scouts are complicated because they are sort of a quasi-military organization, and they have a long history of being. So like the Wandervögel in Germany and all these different sort of scouting types of organizations, which a lot of these things all sort of ended up in the 19th century. That's when they were founded. And they're all part of like nationalist movements and kind of weird folkish movements, like weird movements, and sort of like paramilitary. Yeah, there was like a lot that was going on with them. Many here still call them pioneers, as that was the Soviet equivalent of it. Yeah.
New machines, another horror visited upon us by the daemon.
What are they talking about? Yeah, and Falcon of Venom says, I have complicated feelings about Scouts, being both a Girl Scout and an adult Boy Scout. Oh, Falcon, I can imagine, right? I can imagine complicated feelings. Yeah. I would love to hear your complicated feelings if you want to share them. You don't have to share them if you don't want to, but I'd be interested in them. I did scouting for like a month, but the only sort of scout troops were really far away. My family did not have a car. It would have been a lot of public transportation, and not really having money and not having transportation made scouting not really viable for me. So then I just kind of didn't do it.
Remaining strong, I hope.
I was also an illegal leader, as I'm not straight. Oh yeah. You know, it's tricky, right? Because the Girl Scouts, at least, have really been very opening and affirming. They've allowed trans girls in, and they've allowed sort of queer women in, and they've been a lot more open than the Boy Scouts have. Krillin notes, the BSA went through a rough period I missed, but the past 20 years or so were kind of bad for scouting in the U.S. because the Mormons took them over and made them openly homophobic. And yes, yeah. No, I know she actually just never seen snow. I was a bluebird for all of 2 or 3 meetings. I understand this. I understand this, Rissa. And the thing is, that's the thing about the BSA, and Krellin points this out, that the Mormons made scouting mandatory for young people, or Boy Scouts. They made Boy Scouts mandatory for their boy children, and that meant that the Mormons were spending a lot of money in scouts and the Boy Scouts, and the BSA then they ended up having a lot of influence. And one of my good friends who was like a very serious Boy Scout sort of talked a lot about the difficulties of that, right? Sort of being...
Outlanders. You spend a week in the cut, then go home to tell your friends how tough you
I'm
are.
glad my father.
Everyone's talking right now.
would
So,
torment him to see
yeah,
his
so talks about the real complexities. The complexities of... There's a person I can talk to over there. The complexities of
One day, stone at the
scouting politics. My mother was involved with BSA even after my brother and I were out of it. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, one of my very best friends was a Order of the Arrow and Eagle Scout and Ventru and all that. Not Venture and all. Hey, Volpez, and all that sort of thing. I was not. But yeah, I think scouting is super complicated, and he, of course, had a difficult time because he was queer, and that was like, yeah. As an adult woman, I was not heard as valid by the council for what I was doing working for them. Oh, Falcon, that's messed up.
stone.
Yeah, Venture is Vampire the Masquerade. Venture. That's messed up, Falcon. My buddy, who, did a lot with scouting, was trying to do reforms to make it less creepy, and that ended up not working out for him. He tried, and they were like, "You can leave now." We're gonna talk to Lao Lai. Vamps have...
May you survive and prevail.
I feel like it might be hard for vampires to be in the scouts, what with all the outdoors in the day.
The flood.
You seem sad, stranger. I heard you mention a flood.
Yes. A sudden deluge, without rain or melt to explain it. I'm Lao Lai, the drummer of Deep Din. Or at least I was, till it disappeared under the waters.
Deep Din. What's that?
A hollow, carved out by the old ones. A chamber, a basin, and a musical instrument all at once. My life, my calling. I'd explain it by playing for you if I could. But its pipes are deep under the water now.
Huh. Interesting. Musical instruments, maybe? Hello, Be Right UK. I never joined the Scouts, I joined the public library. Any excuse to get a knife is always good. I will say that all of my camping, with the exception of, I think one thing I must have done in middle school, maybe. I think I had a middle school field trip that involved camping. Yes, I think in middle school we had a field trip that involved camping. So there was that. But then all of my other camping was in the military, and I suspect that was different. I suspect camping when you're in the military is probably less fun than camping as a civilian. I mean, this is my suspicion. I may be wrong, but I imagine that it's different. Rotary Club or Lions or whatever they're called is more popular, and it's supposed to be secular. Do they camp? I don't even know. Is camping a white person thing, Trooper? All my camping is in the SCA. Yes, I think there'd be camping in the SCA. Ice Bunny says, I got a knife without them. I was sent to a household school, and they gave me a chef knife. I think... Is camping a white person thing? Sort of, in the sense that there are a lot of things that specifically black people don't do as much because it wasn't safe for them to do so in the past during segregation, right? So, I mean, black people certainly can go camping, and I think there are some black people who have reclaimed camping and who do so, but for the longest time, road trips were not a thing that black people could do because you never knew. Like, I mean, I'm thinking about the Green Book. So they're just, in the same way that people say, oh, black people don't swim because whatever, they'll say whatever it is. But for a long time, black people could not swim because pools were segregated and beaches were segregated. There were a lot of places where black people were not allowed to go to the beach because the beach is for white people only. And so if you were not allowed to go to the beach or allowed to go, I mean, there were places after they I mean, I'm sure you've heard these stories where after they desegregated pools, when black people would get into the pools, white people would get out and people would pour acid in the pools, right? So there are a number of sort of things that people take for granted that everyone should be able to do, that historically black people have not been able to do, and that it takes a while for those things to become undone, is what I would say. Volpa says, I only did one camping when in Scouts. All my camping has been with friends. I should go camping one day. Rissa says, Stacy's been doing a bit of solo camping lately. I ask her to check in when I can, or I worry. I understand. I do understand that. That's because I know somebody who's like sort of taking a trek across the country solo and camping and all of that. And I'm like, just make sure people know where you are so that you're safe. That's all. But that must be very empowering in some ways. Rissa's done too much true crime reading. Oh, I understand where you're coming from, Rissa. Me too. Grumbleskin says the Green Book is fascinating. You watch a documentary on it. Oh, I've not seen that documentary, but I actually have PDFs of various years of the Green Book. It is such a fascinating thing. It's really, it's amazing. I'll tell you a thing about it. In Finland, says Anarch W, we have tons of kodas. They're sort of camp areas for public use. I think we have those too, I think. I should go one of these days. Krellin says, and when they can't do those things, they don't establish family traditions of doing those things, and so those things don't get passed down to be things to do even when they do later become safe. And that is absolutely correct. And I think this is also the case, I mean, not just with black people. I mean, I'm speaking specifically of black people in the United States because of the way segregation worked, but that is true with a lot of minority groups. And yeah, that happens with a lot of people when you don't actually you're not able to establish a family tradition of things, and so certain things don't happen, but then you get other ones, right? So it's very complicated. Rissa says, I look at this background behind Aloy and love the animation of the snow. Right, the animation of the snow is beautiful. I mean, look how it's just sort of falling so delicately and amazingly. Somebody has done great detail. With Sauna, I think that the most finish for me, and Moomin, I don't know what Moomin is. So if people don't know what the Green Book is, I will tell you. Some people know what it is, some people don't know what it is, but if you don't know what the Green Book is, the Green Book was a book that was put out every year, founded by this one black man, and it started, when did it start? Probably in the teens or 20s, and it stopped being produced, I think, in the 60s. And what it was a crowdsourced book where this one guy, he would collect from all over the country gas stations that black people could use, restaurants that black people could eat in, and places where black people could stay. So hotels that would allow black people to stay there, or motels. But if you actually look at the blue book, at the Green Book, mostly it's not hotels and motels. You'll often have just individual black people who will allow people to stay in their home. So like, Mr. and Mrs. so-and-so have a room in Massachusetts or in Mobile that you can stay in. Because if you were going to travel in a car, and also noting which cities were sundown towns, that if you were a black person, you were in that town after sunset, they would kill you, right? So, because if you were a black person, you wanted to travel from point A to point B, many gas stations would not serve you. So you would have to be able to track your, using a map in the Green Book, track your journey to be like, okay, well, there's only one gas station in this 200-mile journey that will serve me gas. So I'm going to have extra gas tanks fill up here, and then I can fill up there, and that's going to be able to get me to the next space. Okay, so I'm not allowed to be in this town after dark, or they'll kill me. So I'll have to make sure that I can time my trip so that I can drive through this town without it being dark there. Okay, there's going to be no place for these 300 miles where I can get food because nobody will serve me in a restaurant. So I'm going to need to be able to pack enough food, and I'm going to need ice so that I can eat through this moment. Oh, but then here's a place where I can eat so I can stock up there. And oh, there's no place for me to be able to stay, but there's this nice family that will let me stay at their place for a night so I can stay a place there. And so it would let black people travel at all because generally speaking, getting in your car and driving was not necessarily freedom because it was just generally unsafe and the logistics weren't there. Who was not Anarch Devi? Stop. Oh, wait, yeah, no. Wait, I don't think Jer's here, but Anarch Devi, we're gonna make you, wait, no. Thank you. Anarch Devi, I'm gonna make you no longer, how do I, can I time you in? Unban Anarch Devi. Wait, did I not do that right? Where's Anarch Devi? Anarch Devi, where are you? Anarch Devi! Anarch Devi! Where are you? Let me see. Let me see. Reg, add. There you are, Anarch Devi. I'm making you a regular. I didn't want to lose you. Anarch Devi. Anarch Devi, why does it not find you? Let's see. Let me try this again. Reg. Oh, thank you. Reg, add Anarch Devi. Yes! Anarch Devi, I have added you as a regular, so now you can post links. Nightbot can get all stressed sometimes. Nightbot is trying to stop, like, creepy people, but, like, regular folks, you just become regulars and then you hang out with us. But just, like, random randos sometimes show up, and, like, we don't get a lot of trolls, but every once in a while. So, where was I? I probably should. Okay, so. Krell's like, but then I'd have to be a mod. So that's the whole story of the Green Book. That it was produced for decades, and so when people would show up, and so whenever people would find a new place that someone could go and stay at, or a place that was not safe, they'd write into the Green Book, and it would be updated every year with new places that you could stay at, or places that you couldn't. Gives Nightbook a kick in the last part of his name, and so there you go. That's the story of the Green Book, if you don't know it. And there's this really sort of amazing little editorial in the beginning of the Green Book that says, you know, this book is being made, and I hope that there is a time when the Green Book will no longer have to be produced. And see, Ice Bunny, you just summoned Nightbutt. This is how it is. And Hollywood made a movie called Green Book and made it about the white guy because of course they did. Yeah. And I've heard not good things about Green Book, and I heard that the family of Dr. Shirley was really upset about it, and they were like, oh, unhappy. I want to know about this musical instrument.
So Deep Din is a place and a musical instrument?
Yes. Pipes that carry a perfect tone beneath a sonorous basin. A wondrous edifice the old ones used to carry music far and wide. During the war, my father played the pipes to rally the Banuk against the Karja. I'm the drummer now, but our battles are few and far between.
The name game, come on everybody. I said now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name that treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain. Then a fee Fi-N-M-O. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Grumbleskin, 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 Bo Bumbleskin, Banana Fana, Fo Fumbleskin, Fee Fi Mo Mumbleskin. Grumbleskin. Thank you so much for the gift sub, Rissa, and welcome in all official dearest Grumbleskin. Welcome in. Wait, who is Grumbleskin? Stop that, Grumbleskin. We're gonna bring you back. We're gonna add you. Add Grumbleskin. Woo! There you are. You're back, Grumbleskin. We've added you. Thank you, Grumbleskin, and thank you, Rissa. Welcome in, Grumbleskin. Would you post the? Actually, you know what, Grumbleskin? This will be better. When you can post it now, but more important, join the Discord and then post it into Medium Musings. This way the link is there and then we can all look at it, because I would really love to watch that documentary. So post it in Discord if you don't mind. What? I get an emote thanks to B Right's Mega Cheer? What? I got an emote. But also, there is we got bits, and you all know what that means. You know what that means. So Be Right, thank you for the bits, and in honor of those bits, I'm going to sing "We're in the Money" as sung by Ginger Rogers in the film Gold Diggers of 1933, so therefore in Pig Latin. Earway in hey the anime. Earway in hey the anime. Eva at gale out way of way up way at wakes to tit gale on way. Earway in hey the anime. Either I skays or ani say. Old man the 80 and pray who yare ooh three you stay unway on rayo. Ewe every eat ray adlay I'm say of way bray I'm say ute day. And when we see the endly or we look lay at the eye get ray in the eye. We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. I love singing in Pig Latin. Also, thank you for the scoops, Volpes. Thank you. All these rewards. Hey, PH. I just got done with my surprise charity game. $75 raised for, Extra Life. What if, the $75 was, raised for, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something ridiculous. The committee to stop spontaneous human combustion. But then again, maybe that's an important committee to stop the spontaneous human combustion. But congratulations on the $75 raised. That's amazing, PH. Thumbs up. And you were playing John Carter of Mars, which is Savage Worlds, right? Expanse, Invisible Sun. I don't have it personally, but it was in Savage Worlds, I think. I think John Carter is Savage Worlds, right? Yes. Was it Grumbleskins? Thank you for putting it in Media Musings, because I want to watch it. So thank you so much. I'm very excited. Krella never liked John Carter of Mars. John Carter of Venus, though, better. Extra Life sounds like a cat medical charity. That's really good, Mr. Alpha McPerson. I spent my time swinging on ropes and parrying the attacks of monsters. That sounds very pulpy. The Committee on Being Prepared with Marshmallows for Spontaneous Human Combustion, the CBPMSHC. Yes, that's a good one. Not real long, just an hour or so. Oh, hey. I'm very excited to watch it. I will watch it. Also, 2d20. Oh, so it's Modifius, right? The same system as their Star Trek game. Oh, put the NRW. Put a picture of the coda also in medium usings so that I can see it, because I want to see that as well. The final boss was a brain in a jar piloting a giant airship. You have to watch out for brains in jars. They're always so tricky. Yes. So, I think there's a Savage Worlds John Carter too. There is a Savage Worlds Flash Gordon. So I know that is a thing. But I don't know about... I've never played 2D20. So that is not a thing that I've done. But I do...
So the waters came fast.
One day it was dry. The next, the nearby river had risen and the entire basin was flooded.
You like
I
it?
don't understand it. There was no rain, not even any clouds, and yet the river rose higher than I'd ever seen it. And there it remains.
Well, that sounds suspicious. Things here are good, PH. I have a question. Trooper, you said Flash Gordon, and now I'm singing Queen. Flash! Savior of the universe. Bum 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 dum 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 dum. Flash! He'll save every one of us. Dun 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 dun. Sorry. But also, whenever I think Flash Gordon, Flash Gordon, people. It's a boutique RPG, meaning it's very targeted to the specific setting it's used for. Oh. I have a question about 2D... I know, I'm almost playing the game. With 2D20, are you rolling 2D20 and taking the best roll? So is it like is it like almost a quasi... I hear Gordon's alive when I hear that. Gordon's alive? When I start thinking Flash Gordon, I start thinking a couple of lines. Like I think mostly about Ming's daughter and all of her amazing lines when she's like, "Father, water is leaking from his eyes." Sir, Flash Gordon approaching. You roll successes. You kind of have to sing Queen when Flash Gordon or Highlander are... This is true. I also think about... bring out the ball worms. No, Father! Not the ball worms!
A flood without rain.
So much.
That is strange. Where is this place? I'll have a look if I'm in the area.
You should have a look.
Just northwest of here. Look all you like, but I don't see what good it'll do. The floodwaters aren't going anywhere. How does one ask a river to relent?
Maybe it's unnatural, and then we can figure it out. You roll stat plus stat, which is like 13, and then you roll d20, you're trying to get under that number. Fly, you fools!
Silence by rising water.
Oh, and then you can... I remember in Star Trek, there are things you can do to manipulate the numbers. And certain things are better than others, right? Like there are, so this is something I want. There's a new quest there, and I think we should... I wonder if this star means that I have not spoken to this person yet. But I feel like I have spoken to that person. Conan is also D20. You have momentum and luck to spend, that's right, on more d20 or more actions. And that can't you also manipulate, because at least in Star Trek, because I watched the heck out of Shield of Tomorrow, because I really enjoyed Shield of Tomorrow. I thought it was great. But I remember that the GM can use threat
When the old ones were fresh in their graves,
to lower the...
led us through the frozen.
Oh, hey, don't die. Sorry, I was like, oh, I bet I'll die. Maybe I wouldn't have died. Maybe I wouldn't have died. Although, again, that is probably not the way to go. Yeah, and And you can use
Seeking a way to
threat.
defeat them, Banakai went into the wastes.
Hey,
let the wind
there's
whip
Liam.
her cheeks.
And then
And when the cold brought sleep,
let me
she
think.
rushed.
The GM can use threat
Saw it behind
to
the world.
increase the fumble range. I think. I'm gonna jump. And momentum allows you to increase your crit range. I watched some of Callisto 6. Hey, y'all. I think the question I'm having is what is the best way to get where I'm wanting to go? I'm concerned. Look, I just want to jump off of things, and I feel like that is probably not the best way to go. I feel like I'm not going the way I'm supposed to be going. So, let me think about this.
I'm glad my father isn't around. It would torment him to see his legacy drown.
So I am going to walk this way, even though I think this is probably bad. I know I should probably just... Do you think I would...
Okay, if I want to learn more about
Die?
how Damon affects the machines, I've got to find Nerea. And to do that, I need to talk to her apprentice, who followed the river north.
Right. I just want to... in Conan, it is the GM... It's called the GM version. It's called Doom. Oh. I just... Okay, look. There's like a symbol here that's telling me that I should be able to maybe climb somewhere or jump off. Like, look, I'm gonna save.
Everything's freezing.
I'm gonna save.
Around the air.
Hello, Encantador. How are you? It has been a while since I've seen you. I hope you're doing well. We're gonna go down this way, and we're gonna see what we can find, because maybe we can find stuff. And I didn't even jump. Star Trek Adventures is 2d20. It very precisely does Starfleet characters, but you won't be able to play, say, mercenaries in the Star Trek universe using Star Trek Adventures. It does exactly what Star Trek needs and nothing else, which is great design, in my humble opinion. It's not what I prefer. I like a smorgasbord possibility, but I respect the design. And I will say that that particular campaign was really excellent. Now, some of that might have just been because there were amazing players who were really just doing excellent work. You know, for heaven's sakes, what's going on here? Where am I? What's happening? Oh. The name game. Come on, everybody.
We're down.
I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Encantador, 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 banana, fanner, foe, Encantador, fee, fi, mo, Encantador. Encantador. Hey, thanks for the resub. It's been so long. How are you? How is the Ukraine? You were off Twitch a bit, but I'm glad you're back. How is your card game going? Like, what is new with you? Yeah, I did. I missed you all too. So, long time no see. So we're gonna go in the woods, and maybe we will find people in the woods. Like, I don't know where I'm walking. It's all very confusing to me.
Wait a moment.
I wonder if there was a different way to get here than the way that I got, but I got here. So There. I got there. Ukraine still stands against all odds. Card game was also on hold, and the work has been resumed just recently. Oh, that's great.
Must be. Outlander.
What? Hello. Hi, Kamut. Who are you?
That weapon of yours, Outlander.
Yes.
That spear. I can see the blue light upon it.
This?
Yeah?
It was made by an acquaintance of mine.
Ah, a shaman.
No. More of a tinker?
But maybe also
Tinker does
shaman.
not understand the spark in the metal, the song in the metal like this. But it could be improved upon, modified with the help of the old ones. Far north of here, there is a cave, a shaft in the snow. Within it is a nest of metal birds. Find a bird that hasn't been stripped by shamans past. Look for a rail inside it, the length of your spear. That's all I can tell you.
Get a rail from some metal birds in a cave. Sounds perfectly normal.
Hey, it does sound normal. It does sound normal. I'll work it out. Actually, you do need to contract their hairdresser because, now, mind you, it might be bad for your neck, and you might need to go to the chiropractor a lot if you wear those headdresses, because, and you may have really bad peripheral vision, and you may not be able to move your head quickly, but, you know, you'll look very stylish if you wear that. I mean, look at that. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. It is, yeah, like your field of view is gonna be bad. I mean, okay, look, let's go back here. I feel like what this says, yeah, the anti-gravity shards, I think what his outfit says, I want it, come here. I think what his outfit says is that I don't have to do a lot of vigorous work, right? If you look at that, I feel like that's what it says. It says I can wear practically large and cumbersome headdresses because I don't have to do a lot of labor. Yes. See, Kralin has it. Oh, hey. I'm glad this wasn't poison. Or radioactive.
Got too much already.
Ceremonial dress is rarely practical. That's often the point. Yeah, the symbolic weight of responsibility, says PH. Ceremonial headdress is not being practical, says Krellin. Look at me, I don't actually have to do real work. Look at the ridiculous shit I can wear. So, here we are. We got a lot of stuff going on. What do we have? What is going on here? So, looking at this space, there's a lot of stuff here. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of space we haven't actually explored. But let's maybe get a new Timmy and then travel over to that.
Any news from the hunt?
The herd isn't roaming far from the camp.
Keeping together this time.
Then we wait. But I bet we'll see a stray.
All right, I'll keep watch tonight.
Alloy complained about cold, but it seems that she does not wear many layers of clothing. This is true. She doesn't wear a lot of layers of clothing. This is fair. I have never had a suit that felt comfortable. Still waiting for that day. I have had suits that have felt comfortable. What is going on here? The snow is heavy. I just have to get ones that fit. Oh, that.
Me?
Okay, I just walked right into a thing because... Are they still chasing me? No. Okay,
Slow and quiet does it.
I just walked into like a whole bunch of ridiculousness right there. I was chatting with you all, having a lovely time. And then I just walked right into people's time. That was perhaps not what I should have done. But it's cool. It's cool. It's fine. She wears glitter pants. Hello, Pumpkin. How are you? So I just want to find, oh my gosh. I just want a Timmy. Is that too much to ask? What is this? Hey, I think I can automatically just call Timmy's now. I think I bought that skill where I just get to call Timmy's. So I don't even have to sneak up on them anymore. I will always have a Timmy. Is that true? I think it's true. I think I did that. I did do that. I always have a Timmy, everyone. Always. I saw lots of people in Montreal this year with no hats on while it was minus 24 Celsius. I'm not surprised anymore. People make choices. Trooper says, Krellin, why do you keep exposing yourself to heartbreak? Getting Timmy never ends well for you. This is probably true. This is probably true. But I have almost all the skills. There's a thing that I got. It was right, so I can hit the square while I'm riding to do a jumping attack. That should be really awesome, maybe. I have 2 unspent skill points. I just can't use them yet. Also, I have no idea where I'm going. So, I'm going to tell you that. I have no idea where I'm going. Let's go here. I'm going to just place a waypoint so that while I'm chatting with you and not really paying attention to the screen, I can actually get to a place. Where's the... There. We're going this way. This is what we're doing. 2D20 has this corruption momentum system that is quite interesting. What is even happening right now? Something similar appears in a few other systems as well, such as Numenera. I think design-wise it's an evolution of fate points and or destiny points. It's worth reading. I think Modiphius did a really good job with it. What is that? Hey, do you think I can kill that thing? Let's see if I can. I did. I just ran it over. I wanted to do like my jumping attack for like excitement. But that's not what happened.
That'll keep my stomach quiet.
There we go. Let's see. I have no idea where I'm going. Tell us something new. I don't think I can tell you something new. I just think that is just obviously true. Mech horse. You know, all right. I'm going somewhere. I'm traveling at the... So, you know Bonnie Tyler, right? Bonnie Tyler, who sings I'm Holding Out for Hero and I Need a Hero and Total Eclipse of the Heart. She also has an album and a song called Faster Than the Speed of Night. And I just want you to all to know that she has a song called Faster Than the Speed of Night. Because I think that...
Better than worrying about my next meal.
I feel like you all need to know that. Also, the Timmy thing is a quote from an old TV show.
Breeze through the trees.
Lassie. We're gonna need another Timmy was the catchphrase of Mr. Wizard on the TV show Dinosaurs.
Same as always.
I do. Right, yeah, Bonnie Tyler. She was very big in Europe.
I've been here working since
Dinosaurs.
the cast a shadow on the mesa. The Oseram are newcomers.
A little sweat and hard work never hurt anyone.
What are you all talking about? What are you all talking about right here? What is going on here? Well, that's fine. There are things over here that I can look at, but I'm gonna go here. We're gonna go and find. We're gonna find the long neck. Is what we're gonna do. Like that's it. We're finding the long neck. Really, Bonnie Tyler was the first vinyl you ever owned? She was not my first vinyl, but she was one of my first cassettes. And I believe that Faster Than the Speed of Night is the album that has Total Eclipse of the Heart and I Need a Hero. And of course, the title song faster than the speed of light. Because why wouldn't you do that? I think you would. We need a new Timmy. Have I played Saints Row? I have. I played the first one because I was Xbox for the first two. Like, I had an Xbox original, then an Xbox 360, and then when the Xbox One PS4 came out, I went with the PS4 rather than the Xbox One because neither the Xbox nor the PS4 were backwards compatible, and that really ticks me off. And I've got a huge library of Xbox games, and I was like, well, if I can't play them on the Xbox One, then I'll just get the PS4, and then I'll just keep playing on my Xbox 360. So I have played the first Saints Row. I don't think I've played Saints Row 2, though. I played the first one. Yes, I played the first one, the worst one. When I played it, it was fine. The first one, it was fine. It was sort of like a GTA clone. It was okay. I should probably play the second one. Cassettes, now we old people are the only ones knowing what cassettes are. The first cassette ever known went to a deck for a TRS-80. Oh, for Losanto. I feel like young folks still know what cassettes are. I feel like they know. So here's what. We're gonna go and find this long neck is what we're gonna do. Oh, hey.
Bergen said Rhea's apprentice went north of the river. Hopefully not too far.
Did you see how he almost died right there? Wasn't that funny and hilarious? I just thought I'd point that out. Also, there are murder things there. I thought I'd note that. That's all. Yeah, it took a sharp tone shift in Saints Row 2 that really defined the series.
They're built to last.
There's stuff going on here. Huh. I should probably check it out. Like real Matt would not run to the obstacles, but yes.
Fell a long time ago. The scavengers have just gotten started.
So what has even happening right now? Like, I'm doing something and I don't even know what I'm doing. What is even happening right now? What is this? A demonic scrapper. Oh. No, Ice Bunny, the Kelly family was never popular in the States. They are not even... They're not even... The Kelly family are completely unknown in the US. They are not a thing here. People don't even know it.
I'll do what I have to.
Like, the Kelly family are like completely a European construct, you know? The Kelly family are European. I think they pretend like... There are a lot of bands that pretend like they're American, but they are not American. I'm in a little bit of trouble. It's cool. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. It's cool. It's cool. Like, I'm gonna be fine here. Like, it's okay. I will be fine. It's not even a problem. This is the problem. Hold on. Let me back up. What happened? What did you say? I want to know. I missed it. Where's my cursor? There's my cursor. Okay. Where are you? Anarch Dovey, where are you? One thing about mounts that bothers me is that they don't act like real animals. They are more like cars than like horses. This is fair, Anarch Dovey, because a real mount would not run into obstacles but dodge or jump over them on their own if properly trained. Fair. Although these are actually sort of more like cars since they are mech dinosaurs. Oh, I will see you later, Volpez. Yeah, the Kelly family were super, super big in Germany in the 90s. Super, super big. But I think they're technically Irish, but I think they grew up in Spain. They are, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of bands that are popular in Germany that sort of pretend like they're American, and they're not, and nobody in America knows who they are. I'm just going to tell you, there are a lot of those bands. Also, one of Saints Row 3's early missions has you skydiving into a penthouse controlled by a rival syndicate while Kanye's Power plays in the background, and it's brilliant. Oh, I'm going to try not to die. I should probably play the Saints Rows. I pretend I'm American sometimes when I'm role-playing. Yes, but that's a little different. The first song I ever remember listening to on an 8-track was Cat Scratch Fever. I remember that one, by Shakin' Stevens, right? No. That was by... Oh, someone else, actually. Germany does love their cowboys. They also sort of love their Native Americans in
Just go about your business.
pretty creepy ways, actually. And I'm gonna just kill that one. Okay. So I just did a bunch of murder in a way that I think is pretty good. Oh wait, here's another one. Okay, they're running away. I'm gonna just kill some more of them. It's cool. You know what? I can do this because I've got slowdown, and I can just slow down on people, and that will make things easier. I don't know why I don't do these things sometimes. Like, what's wrong with me? I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, I have abilities. I have special powers, and I could maybe use them. Whatever. Yeah, no, Mr. Awful Person, it is creepy. It is creepy. And you're like, what are you doing, Germany? What is up with that? I love Horse and Shadow of Colossus. It's actually like an actual horse. You only need to guide where he goes. Oh, that's cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, when they do their red face, you're like, oh, what are you? Oh, Germany. Don't do that. Ted Nugent, thank you for Losanto. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Carl May wrote the Winnie Two books in 1897 or so. Was never an American. I mean, oh yeah, he did. Wait, Bonnie Tyler was in Saints Row 3? Well, I'm gonna need to play Saints Row if there's Bonnie Tyler.
Check the area with my focus, maybe.
I will do that. I will check the area with my focus. That is a thing I will do. Holding out for a hero. You know, Bonnie Tyler is Welsh. What do we have? So this is a tall neck. What is this? A glint hawk. I think I'm going to have to kill that glint hawk, is what I think.
Could be something around that my focus will see.
Yes, she is Welsh like Shirley Bassey, and does she have the range? It is unclear. I mean, I don't know if Shirley Bassey would think that she does, and that's really the main question. You know, does she have the range? I'm gonna shoot this thing right now. It's gonna be really cool. And I don't know if that's gonna... We're gonna just shoot this a lot. Oh, there's another glint hawk. I wonder if things are okay for me right now, or if they're not okay for me, or if, you know, I'm gonna die. Because I could die, but I think I'm okay.
That's the last of the... Looks like the scavengers ripped out 3 major parts. If I could bring them back, maybe I could even reactivate it. Get at what's inside its head.
So I need to find missing tall neck parts. There's countless writers who never were in the Soviet Union or even visited Eastern Europe, and they still thought they should. Yeah, Mr. Awful Person. People, you know, this is okay. So this is the thing. People always say, hey, be respectful, you know? And it's not like you can never write about things that are not you, because, like, people can write about things, but, like, maybe do some research first. That's all. That's all. Hey, Crit Twitch, hello. I watch Alan Cummings talk about his iconic roles. That motorcycle. Ooh, I do like him. Let me see. Is there a difference between a tall neck and a long neck? It's a very good question. I think in calories, maybe? Although maybe not. I mean, it's, you know, it's unclear. I need to destroy this. There we go. There. Okay, so where am I? What is happening? All right, so there is a... I'm going to try to climb up this tall neck situation and hope that I can find a thing. Or maybe. Tall neck. I think I may not be able to do anything here. I'm looking, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I feel like I'm looking for really strange, random things that I don't even know about. I don't even know what my life is right now. What is the most neck positive term? Like in OA, they filmed rich suburbs of Moscow in Estonia at Palms Manor, a short time after Newt Gingrich called Tall a suburb of St. Petersburg. So I just give up on that. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to our quest, and we're gonna make this our quest. This is what we're gonna do. Let's activate this quest, and let's just find these parts. That's what we're gonna just find these parts, and that's what we're gonna do. Why? Because it's gonna make our life easier. I know, for the Anointed, I really am a hot mess. It's like, it's very questionable, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like there's just a lot of questionableness in my life right now. I mean, I own it, I accept it. Timmy. Everything is a musical reference. Hey, Timmy. A whole one that fits to the killer star, if that's what you're looking for. All right, so I think that place over there is one of the things. Hey, do you think my mount can cross that thing? I bet the answer is no. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my special new move. It's not working. It's not even working. Like, I'm just wandering around like a mad person, and nothing is happening. So that didn't work. I've got a special new move, and I would like to use it, but I'm not even. I want to use my new move, everybody. I should maybe... My poor Timmy. Let's, You know what? I feel like I'm making some poor choices. And that's unfortunate. You know what? Hey. Rude. We're gonna we're just stabbing it. That's it. I'm gonna go up there because I think that my Timmy's being destroyed, or actually, or maybe, or I don't even know. Where is this even supposed to be taking place? Actually, there is a You can only run through deserts on a nameless horse. That's fair. Actually, this is supposed to be Colorado, maybe? Hey, Baron Tor, how are you? I'm making poor choices in my life, is what's happening. Hi. Oh, hey, do you know that song by Sophie Bextor-Ellis, Murder on the Dance Floor? I love that song. Do you know that song? Oh, ouch, you hit me. That was rude. Okay. There's a lot going on here. Yes, we are currently in the DLC zone. And it is... Oh, hey, what is that? There are a lot of things happening here right now that seem dangerous. And I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't think there's much I can do about it, to be honest. I think these things are just trying to visit me. And if I can at least... Oh, hey, I want to have a lovely conversation with you all that does not involve being beaten to death by this thing. But I don't have a... Oh, hi. Hey, you know, I wanna... I missed. Yeah, so, okay. So I need to, I just want you to know, do I have any icy things? I do. I just, you know, gang, what is happening in my life right now?
Stay down.
It's fine. There are a lot of, it's just people. Okay. So you were all talking. What were you saying? I want to see, I just feel like I missed what you said. So...
Safe for a few minutes.
Thank you.
Anyway.
The opposite poor choices, rich choices. I'm making poor choices in my video game life. Again, Trooper, tell us new stuff, not old stuff. I think you're right. People, yeah. I'm just thinking about because here's the thing. People, I had it in Contador, Mr. Awful Person. I have a thought that I wanted to tell you about depictions of the East. And I want to tell you that. So let's see. Off Twitch, Nasty... Class trip to Norway, we danced on the boat. I should stop being easy on this one. There are 4 LPs that can take me back to a point in my life and remind me of what it was like then. Footloose, the motion picture soundtrack. Rat Out of the Cellar. Kiss Music for the Elder, Poison. And from the Elder, and Poison open up and say, I know! Why is this thing here if its weakness is ice? Why? I feel like the ice is super thick and we're totally fine. Wait, no, I wanted to tell you something. What was it I wanted to tell you? Oh, yeah. I wanted to say something about depictions of the East. I was just thinking about this. I was thinking about anti-Soviet propaganda and how seriously ridiculous and stupid it was if you had any ounce of empathy or thoughtfulness at all. And I was thinking specifically about this thing that people liked to say, which was that in the Soviet Union, people didn't care about their children or have love, because in the Soviet Union, it was only about loyalty to the state, and they took away people's sense of love. And I was like... But the Reds are coming for us to restore our way of life. Murder on the Dance Floor is such a good song. And I was like, do you really honestly believe that people who live in the Soviet Union do not have the concept of love? What is wrong with you? Who believes that? But that was like part of the propaganda. And it just makes me think about the ridiculousness of some of the stories we would say, because That's not even plausible. Like, but people believe that kind of stuff, but that's just not a plausible story. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not how people work. That's not how the world works. I have neighbors that grew up in Soviet Belarus. They are awesome, loving people. Sadly, from experience, that propaganda becomes a reality, sadly, yeah. Stings the Russians is a good one, right? That sort of talks about, like, hey, hold on a second. People in Russia also love their children. Like, what do you... Hey. As one born and raised in the USSR, there was lots of love on family level. Yeah, and I think it's... I think... For me, I feel like that's just weird propaganda. Like, in terms of propaganda, that's just a weird one. I mean, I could see a lot of different kinds of propaganda. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could see you saying, oh, the Soviets, they... Dehumanizing it in an enemy helps justify the radical... That is true. That's what it is, right? That's what people did. Russian tourists have a reputation for being loud and drunk, but that's just a stereotype. Because you don't notice the ones that aren't, you sure as heck don't notice the ones that are. But you sure as heck notice the ones that are. Yeah, saying that they don't have love is an effective way to other them. And I think but like, for me, it's just like, that's so weird. Like, that is such a weird... Hey, is there anything I can craft right now? I'm just wondering if there's anything I can craft at the moment. Probably not. Probably not. Jump! I did think about it. There's a lot of idiotism on all levels and still is, but people and values, and lots of different people. Jump! It's just, I think it's just so weird to me. Because that is just not one that is believable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't believe... Don't jump. I just don't believe on a fundamental that people are so different that in the Soviet Union, the entire country doesn't feel love. Like, that is just not a plausible thing to me at all. Like, I just don't see how you could actually ever believe that. My mom grew up in the USSR, born on May 9th. She has actually said these words to me. If Russia invades Estonia, I'll shoot you first, because you're an American dog. Ooh. That's because American exposure to Russians mostly consists of Russian criminals and hardened military. Yeah, that's right. And there are also non-Russians in the USSR because the USSR was a large and diverse place with lots of different people in it. For sakes. I actually think that most Americans' exposure to Russia was actually just film. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I actually think. I think that most of their exposure was just American actors pretending to be Russia. And like, that's really what I think most Americans' exposure was just Americans doing bad Russian accents and cartoon. That, you know, like really messed up things like Father Knows Best. Oh man, I have got some amazing messed up 1950s spy TV shows whose ideas of Russians are like really questionable.
Pass the test.
Yeah, Father Knows Best How to Mess Up the Country and the World. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that show. Yeah. Sergeant Wu. You know, if you look through times and nations, even in jails, slave camps, and gladiator pits, there was a place for love and values. Totally. That's the thing. Russians are the same as any other current and former empire builders. Right, and also they're people. Like, they're human beings. Like, this may be shocking, but Russians are also human beings. And I feel like people need to, like, recognize that. Hello? I'm going to kill you. I just want you to know it. That's all. Okay. It was, why you. I looked up some of the more
traveling light.
Some of the more common names for ethnic Chinese Russians in the Russian Far East. So I looked up, and I was like, I will look this up, and that was one of the more popular ones. Yes, a human being, sadly, with a slick society that tends to treat the other as non-human. A lot of people do, though, and that's, what is this? Do you think? I don't know. And that is, and also, I want that. I want all the things. And that is, that makes me sad. I have too much stuff. Us versus them is one of the worst human conditions. Yeah. Avi, you're talking about the country and its people, but are you talking about the country and its people, or the state and its starting leaders with perhaps very different ambitions? Very true. Be right. The people in the state are not the same. Not the same at all. Let's see. What do we have here? I'd say let's not put Russia as an empire-building, war-spreading machine and all the people of Russia in one pot. Yes, that's right. I feel like, where am I at right now? I feel like I'm here. This is making me think about The Hunt for Red October with Sean Connery, Sam Neill, and Tim Curry as Russians. Yeah. So, I'm here. I'm needing to find... What am I looking for? I am looking for... I think all Russians speak with a Scottish accent. Isn't that true? What?
Chill almost feels like sunburn.
No, seriously though, I'm looking for parts and pieces. People should help me out with this. Man, Hunt for Red October. Oh, if you want to talk about like creepy, like, I mean, there's a lot of creepy anti-Russian propaganda, lots. I need to find this tall neck park, but what's the one? The most outrageous one? Oh my gosh. I played my Red Martian with a Russian accent because he was red. It made sense to me. Come on. 80s film. Wolverines! Come on. It was really bad. Wolverines! 80s movie about Russia. Red Dawn. Thank you, Krellin. Thank you. Red Dawn. Right? Red Dawn. Just like... This is what I'm saying. Did they really remake it? How in the world would they do that? How would they remake Red Dawn in the current present day? Like, what would they do in the remake? Y'all. I'm trying to... Like, I think... They made the country North Korea. It was supposed to be China, but ticket sales. Huh. Are there good 80s films? Of course they're good 80s films. They're good and bad films in all time and places. They were originally going to make... yeah. This reminds me of the All Quiet on the Western Front and how the main character got super fucked when he killed the French soldier with a knife and found pictures of his family on him and then couldn't think straight for hours. Yeah. Ooh, that was a good film, although people got mad about it. The idea that North is a threat to anyone but South Korea is ridiculous. And their own people. North Korea is a threat to their own people. Hunt for Red October, a great fun movie, but as a submariner, I can say without hesitation that the most accurate portrayal of submarine life was Down Periscope. Really? Did you see, Forel Santo, did you see Das Boot, the German film, and what did you think about that? They changed it to Red Brawn, and it's totally different, starting to rock. War is bad is a controversial opinion, I think. And what's crazy is that is a controversial opinion. Das Boot was bad. Now, why do you say that, Ice Buddy? They went and they actually did a reproduction. They actually rebuilt one of those subs so that they could, and they went and they interviewed a lot of people. And I think it got like the Golden Bear or whatever. Go, Encantador, I will see you later. It was so good to see you here. I was wondering what you'd been up to and was hoping that things were doing well with you. So I'm glad to see you. Honestly, if you want to hear the truth about Russian society, the best people to ask are the Uralic and Altaic peoples of Northern Eurasia, the Caucasians, the Crimean Tatars. You finding the movie traumatic is not the same thing as it being bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, those are two separate things. Like, there are a lot of movies that are very good that people can't watch for various reasons. That doesn't mean that they're not good. Also, I was over here and I couldn't find the thing. I did see Das Boot. It probably captured what life was like on a U-boat. Yeah. There's a period, says Rissa, when we had a lot of submarine disaster movies and I couldn't watch them. My brother was on a sub at the time. My brain is great at catastrophizing. See, that's fair. And they said it was very close to reality. So yeah, right. Das Boots are made for walking. I got to see the director's cut version of Das Boot in the movie theaters just a couple years ago, and seeing it on the big screen was very effective. It was very effective. Yeah, that was a very intense movie, is what I will say. And they did a serious job with it, and that is also true. And the acting was very good. I know that there's some controversy about it. Also, I know you're telling me not to jump. I understand that. I will do my best not to jump. But okay. Here we go, everybody. I am going to switch my weapons a little bit. When the kids from Germany were here during my high school's exchange program, we went and saw Das Boot. I thought it was an odd choice, but it was the only movie with a lot of German in it. Them boats. There's an HBO series called Generation Kill that is the most accurate representation of Marines and how they interact with one another I've ever seen. Oh, I should see that. Krellin says, that makes sense because a boat full of only men for 6 months to a year at a time would invariably be full of shenanigans, bullshit, and Kelsey Grammer. For Lasanta, my job in the submarines was basically the crazy guy who hooked up the comms. Ooh, okay. I need to see that. Let me, I feel like I've got some serious bombs I could use right now. Let's use some serious bombs on them. I was told that, hello, MW2 Daytona. I was told that game is similar in WoW to WoW in the making clothing, weapons, and fishing. Is that true? And is this a fun game? It's a super fun game, but I don't think it's that similar to WoW, because in WoW you actually get to, grab scraps of like with leather crafting, right? You go and kill an animal, skin the animal, then take the leather and then create your armor. This doesn't really happen that way. You do crafting, but it's mostly for ammo or potions. So you can do potion making and ammo making, things like that. But you tend to upgrade existing armor, so you buy armor, then you upgrade it. But it is super, super fun. It is a great single player with an open world story. We are going to do we're going to do a lot of bombing on them right now, is what we're going to do. We're going to bomb the heck out of them because we like it.
First strike.
Oh, hi. Hey, everybody. Guess what? There are Hi. There are a lot of them, and I'm gonna fall off a cliff right now because I love falling off cliffs because that's like my idea of fun, and also I'm like there's hi. Ooh, it's gonna be all the time now. It's fine. We are going to be a little like it's cool. War is bad. We're gonna bomb the heck out of them. That the spear is good. So I need to just get a couple things out of my inventory right now. We're good. I'm going to disassemble these right now, and then I'm going to... Dang it. Inventory? Come on now. One thing that is like WoW, if you want to know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One thing that is like WoW is all of the crafting. One time we took the Exo's door off his stateroom. He looked for it for 3 days straight. We had teams who would report where the Exo was. The door could be moved around, and he never caught up with it. Finally, Captain got on the 1MC announcement system and said, "This is the captain. I don't care who has the Exo's door. You have 15 minutes to put it back in its door frame. That is all." 15 minutes later, the Exo's door was magically back in its spot. Oh. Also, yeah, what nom-noms did you get? Give us the details. If there's one thing I will say about the military, is that we had amazing pranks. Like, we had amazing pranks. That is all. That is all I'm going to say about that. The pranks were epic. And I'm going to have to get myself back up here. It's cool, though. We just had... The kind of pranks we had were epic. Shaggy's like, wow, wasn't me. Okay, we are gonna have to do that again. Let's do a little bit more sticky bomb. Right, just a little bit more of that. Just a little bit more of that, it'll be fine. You know what, I should be using... What is happening right now with my life? And why am I not doing it right? Also, why... I'm gonna fall off this cliff. I just want you to know that I'm going to fall off this cliff. And that will be unfortunate. And I should also maybe just use fire bombs. And maybe I shouldn't die. I didn't fall. Pranks like disassembling a Hummer and reassembling it inside the studio. See, I'm just saying there are a lot of pranks.
That's it. I'm already gone.
Okay. Here's the thing, everybody. I don't have all of the things that I need. Like, where are we? I think there are more of these creatures that I'm going to have to murder. One of the things that we would do, this is just like stupid and small. Like the door frame is epic, and this is just a stupid small thing. But we were doing NATO fleet ops and we were in port all at once. A buddy of mine stole the colors from the British ship that was docked next to us. I still don't know how he managed it. We caught hell over that one. Yeah. Yes. I also am holding up a hero. We're gonna just delete some modifications. We did this thing with covers, which you might know as a hat, we were always and forever doing things like you. All right, so here's the thing. I'm gonna climb up here, by the way. I'm sure, yeah, I'm gonna climb up here and try to get this thing. We had a new guy, and we were re-waxing the floors in the staff office. The kid asked where to go with the chair, and a sergeant sent him next door with it. Called next door and told him to keep it up. Kid came back 3 hours later rolling that chair. He probably pushed it 2 miles in different buildings. I hate Artie Snack. Yes. So we would do these things with people. So we have cargo pockets, right? And what you should do is keep your cover in your cargo pocket. And that's what you should do. Like, that's the ideal. You should be doing that.
This tonic part's still in one piece.
Okay. I got that. So, right, you're supposed to, pardon me. So you're supposed to, like, so what is smart is to fold up your cover, your cap, put it in your cargo pocket so it's always on you. Small rule, when you're indoors, you're never wearing your cover. When you're outdoors, you're always wearing your cover. You cannot go outdoors if you do not have your cover. This is an important point. If you don't have it, you can't go outdoors because you cannot be not wearing it. And some people would take your cover. We were not allowed to use your cargo pockets, nor fold up our covers. Always seemed strange when I saw the Army doing that. We actually ironed our covers since they had the flats and angles, unlike the Army ones. So what a lot of us would also do is wet our covers, starch it, iron it, starch it, iron it, put it on a coffee can so that it would dry and be really sort of like sharp looking. And, you know, that is something that people would do. And if they did that, and also, we would also spend quite a lot of time shaping the bill of our cover so that it actually looked good and wasn't like flat and ugly looking. And so we'd spend a lot of time making our covers look really, really good. And some people, because of that, would never want to fold up their cover. They would like leave their cover. They would leave their cover on a shelf or something in the office. They wouldn't be paying attention to what was happening to their cover. Yes, and now the thing is, I could take my cover, starch it, iron it, and then I could fold it neatly, put it in my cargo pocket, take it out, and like extend it back out, put it back on, shape it so it looked good. So my cover always looked good, but I always had my cover in my pocket. But see, Krellin knows, but people would leave their covers unattended. They'd leave their cover, they'd put their cover on their thing, they would go off to do stuff, and then their covers would be unattended. And what I want to say is that was unwise, because the minute you left your cover unattended, well, that's when bad things would happen. Many different bad things. Things we would like to do, we would steal your cover. I mean, first off, that's the obvious. We would just steal your cover. And then after we stole it, but stealing it is not the fun part. The fun part is what do you do with the cover after you've stolen it. One thing, which what we would do is we would take the cover down to the break room. And you know how, you know those vending machines, which are the type where you put the money in and then you open up a drawer, you open up a sliding thing, and you'd like reach in and get a sandwich. They're kind of like those vending machines where they'd have like sandwiches and whatnot, and you like pay your money, open the thing, take out your sandwich, and door. That's right. And then you'd open it, you take out the sandwich, and then you'd put the cover in, close the door, lock it, and then change the vending machine so the cover was not visible, and so that they'd have to pay to get their cover back. And if they knew to look in the vending machine, that was fun. And so that was good times. And so here's the thing. Oh, Barantor, here's the part. This is the best part. The best one, though, this was the best one. Take somebody's cover early in the morning when they first arrive, right? So somebody arrives, they put their cover somewhere unattended. Early in the morning, you take their cover. They don't notice. You take their cover to the bathroom. You fill the cover with water, upside down, fill it with water, and then you put the cover in the freezer of the refrigerator. So by the time it's time for them to leave, the entire cover is now a frozen block of solid ice that they cannot put on, so they can't leave. Oh, dang. Because the other thing is that we were in a remote location is where we worked. Like there was a base, and then where we worked was a remote location because it was like a secure facility, and that secure facility only had buses that would take you in and out at given times. So there was like the 6 o'clock bus. If you had the 6 o'clock shift, there was like a 9 o'clock shift. There was a bus for the 6 o'clock shift, for the 9 o'clock shift, for the 2 o'clock shift, for the 5 o'clock going home. It's like 10 to 2, 2 to 6, 6 to 2. So there was a 5 o'clock going home, 10 o'clock in and out, right? So you had just a couple of buses, and we would do things to make it so that people would miss their bus. That was our level of pranking. Is we would do things to make it so people would miss their bus and have to wait until the next bus because we thought that was hilarious. That would be things we would do. I mean, did you do that to generals too, or are they off limits? Generals didn't hang out with us, and you don't tend to mess with officers because officers have no sense of humor. And also, they don't tend to live with us. Like, there were not generals where we were at. And generals don't tend to stay. They tend to, like, come in, walk around, and then leave. So, that sort of a thing. Yeah, we would also... Yeah, there's a lot of segregation between officers enlisted and officers... Yeah, we don't... Yeah. Also, this is really dumb. Like, some of the things we did were just stupid, but also hilarious in their own way. So office chairs, right? Office chairs. And I'm going to specifically describe an office chair that I want you to imagine. Most military bases are commanded by a colonel. That's the highest rank that would regularly be on site. Yeah, and they don't work with, they're off. So... Imagine an office chair, the swivel one, and how those office chairs will have the seat and the back, and the seat is made out of foam and then covered with some kind of cover. And there's actually rules against too much fraternization between superiors and those below them, especially between officers. Oh yeah, there are heavy rules about fraternization, which is why I always get weirded out when people date their coworkers, because I was none or hit on them. I was like, ooh, army fraternization, no. Colonels don't get pranked, no. Either because you like them too much to prank them, or you're too afraid of what they'll do if you get pranked. Yeah, you don't prank them. So how you'll have that chair that's that kind of foam material on the seat, and it has some kind of cover, and that cover could be leather, but it was also illegal in the Army. But the seats we had a mesh. It had a mesh cover over it. It wasn't leather. It was like a mesh. And what we would do, because we were like this. Also we were doing intelligence, and all we did for 8 hours a day was doing intelligence work. And doing intelligence work for 8 hours a day will make you go a little crazy. You get a little stir crazy when you're just sitting there working with numbers and frequencies and all that for 8 hours. And so you have to do things to blow off some steam. We did not putting the chairs, but we would take water and wet the chairs. So we'd just pour water all over that seat cushion. But the thing about that is that the mesh would not look wet at all, because the mesh was a different material. So the entire seat cushion was completely wet and soaked, but it didn't look like it. And then people would sit down in the chair, and it would be glorious, because that's what we do. What's wrong with working with numbers? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that when that's all you do, and all you're doing is working in a really intense environment that's all sort of numbers and analysis, if you were an analyst, or intercepting, if you were an intercept operator, is that we You just get a little stir crazy a little bit, and then sometimes you gotta go and prank people. Sometimes you gotta, like, you do things. That's all. Like, we would do a lot of things. Mildew chairs. Yeah, just a little bit of mildew chairs for extra fun. Sometimes it happened. It happened. Did you use the deployable cargo container offices? We had people go get degrees to get jobs doing that. Messing with people? Oh yeah. I had intense training. Like, we had a 70% dropout rate for the training that I had for that job, because the schooling to be a signals intelligence analyst was super intense. And people, like, you had to work hard to pass that training. So people work really hard to do it. And when you do it, sometimes you get a little goofy. So I'm just saying, I got goofy. Some of my stations had deployable cargo container offices. Sometimes we were just in tents. Sometimes we were in other sorts of offices. Sometimes we were in offices that were like large safes because they were secure. And sometimes you have to sweep paths through forests, for example. We would just do, we would do sparkers. We would just do things. We would do a lot. Because it was a high pressure job, is the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was a high pressure job. And when you have a high pressure job that involved people's lives being on the line, sometimes you just find ways to process that. And some of the ways that you manage being in a super high pressure job where people's lives are on the line is that you pranked people in more epic ways. We were forced to take a broom to a forest because a general was coming by to visit our site, and the company commander thought that the area the general would walk through in the forest looked too dirty. Oh, I bet I can jump off this and not die. Also, is this direction I'm even going right now? It isn't. So I could go that way, but that's not even the way I'm trying to go, so I should not go that way. And so they wanted us to sweep the forest so that it was less dirty looking for the general.
I could forget what warmth feels like out here.
But that's the thing about generals, is that they never get to know what life is actually like, because everybody lies to them all the time. How do you know when to stop? We just had to, there was a path that the general was going to, because the general was landing in a helicopter, and there was going to be a path from the helicopter landing site to our camp, and we had to sweep the path from the helicopter landing site to our camp so that it looked good. And the general wouldn't see a dirty... I mean, it was just stupid. It's like we say, the queen thinks the world is bright and smells of fresh paint. Yep. Oh. They're not always on helicopters. Sometimes they're driven, but there are a lot of helicopters. It's true.
You're not gonna like this.
That was not the arrow I wanted to use. It's fine. So here's the problem that I have. Oh. Is that I'm looking for this part. And I think that I'm not quite certain where I'm gonna find this part, because it's supposed to be around here somewhere. And I think, like, I'm having a hard time finding it. And that is just, you know, just a little note of irritation. So Beetle Bailey is not... Oh, no, Beetle Bailey is totally wrong. It is totally wrong. Levi says, I'd be so mad if I found out people waste their time. And that's doing that. This is the thing. I find that generals tend to be actually pretty cool. They tended to be pretty reasonable people who like, I actually tended to like most generals, but all the officers below them, like, it's like either a general or a lieutenant. Generals and captains tend to be okay. Everybody else can be like the worst, because the generals want to know what's going on, but like the colonels get so nervous. The colonels like, it's just the worst. You should have left a rake on that path. I know, that would have been hilarious. I always figured the army had to use the hellos just as a way to justify having so many. No, they use them. They use them for a lot of things. I was once dating a helicopter pilot who was an attack helicopter pilot. They do their stuff. For Losanto. Also, it's a bad idea to mess with a sailor in a bar if he has his dress blues on. Odds are that his neckerchief has a roll of coins in it, and so do his buddies. And if they get into a fight, they're going to get in big trouble, so they're going to make it worthwhile. Bones are probably going to be broken. You'd make a great General Levi. You just never make it to general with an attitude like that. Everyone else is a tryhard. Colonels are the worst. They're so close they can taste it. Generals are great. They've made it and they can relax. And captains are too far away to worry about it. But colonels, you can't deal with colonels. Colonel Sherman T. Potter. That is fair and true. Do you think maybe this is where I will find what I need? Maybe this is where I'll find what I need. Because the problem I'm having right now is that there's a component that I need, and I'm not getting it. And I'm hoping... Oh, you are dodging. Nice for you. So I'm really, like, I need to find this thing. I'm missing one tall neck part. This is crazy. USMC captains are the ones that are kind of the worst. Oh, sometimes we get good lieutenants, but they aren't always bad. Majors in the USMC tend to be busy and grumpy. Colonels are usually in charge and have folks under them to deal with enlisted, like sergeant majors, who are a pain most times. So, all right, look. I need to find this tall neck part, everybody. So lieutenants are often really bad because they're like 22 years old and they are officers. They're the lowest officers. They usually have no experience in the army whatsoever, don't know anything about the military. The worst are the ones that went to... here we go. Let's try this. The worst are the ones who went to military academy, who went to West Point, because they spent all their time being hazed, and they think that like real military is about hazing, which it is not. So that's usually really bad. So like they're like just really awful. All right, let's deal with that. I think I found my place, by the way. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to do this. I also need to do that. And now I'm going to kill them. Oh, here we go. Not great. Not great, Jan. So lieutenants, they have no experience, right? If they were in the military academy, they have a culture of hazing, which is not what the actual military is like. You don't do that business. Like, that's unprofessional and stupid. And they have insecurity problems because they feel like they need to prove the fact they're like in charge of everything. They need to prove it, so they're very insecure. So they throw their weight around because they're so insecure about their authority. This is what I mean. And so because they're so insecure about their authority, they throw their weight around, they don't listen to anybody. So you've got these sergeants who, like, you know, who have decades of experience in the military. And then you've got these lieutenants who are like, oh, well, listen to my authority, blah, 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 my rank, blah, 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 blah. And they don't know what they're talking about. And they don't know how anything works. And because they're so insecure about it, they just end up doing stupid things all the time. Like, stupid things. They're like, oh, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, yeah, but X, Y, and Z is a really bad idea, Lieutenant. And they're like, I'm a lieutenant. I'm in charge of things. And you're like, okay, well, fine. If you don't want, I mean, every once in a while, you'll find a good lieutenant who will listen before they start throwing their weight around like stupid people. Every once in a while, you'll find a good lieutenant. But they're often just really bad. I find West Pointers to be the worst out of all of them. And they're bad. Yeah, Academy and Cadets Namer were very, very odd. As trooper, I shared my story of my supervisor at the Air Force. I don't think you did share that story, Krellin. I had to escort some cadets around our JATF. My lieutenant told me to watch them like a hawk and get on them if they did something idiotic. Yeah, they're just like lieutenants. They just don't have the range, and it's true. And the thing is, they don't have any leadership skills yet or training, but they feel like they need to prove themselves. They feel like nobody respects them because they don't. Like they're just, and they usually mess things up. They usually make things worse because they don't know what they're doing. And it's just bad. There's a joke. Here's a joke. The joke is this. What's the difference between a second lieutenant and a PFC? Private first class. PFCs have been promoted. That's all. Are pilots not officers? Pilots are officers. They're a little bit different, but they are officers. See, LTs and the EOC have to go to additional leadership training and their own boot camp after academies. Oh, we should have a Shirley Bassey emoticon. Oh, good idea, Rissa. The new LT shows up on base and starts throwing his weight around, insisting on changes and new procedures, and so far, they always do that. Master Sergeant basically tells him to stuff it, and that's not how it works. LT says, wait till the general gets here. I feel like they feel like people don't respect them because they have some minor empathy. That's good. And the higher officers pummel the crap out of them constantly. They also have no job security. Pilots are officers that aren't in charge of anyone except the crew, if any. General gets there and is like, walks up to the Master Sergeant and gives him a hearty handshake. How's it going, Bill? New Lieutenant giving you trouble? Turns out Bill saved the general's life in the war. LT got reassigned. And if they're helipilots for the crew or cargo plane, they rely on their crew chief to manage the... Yeah. See, here's the thing that people don't know about officers. Officers do not lead people. By the way, I killed the thing, and now I need to find it. Where is it? Where did it go? And that's the thing that people who are not in the military don't know this. Okay, there's a watcher there, but I'm looking for a glint hawk. People don't know this. Yeah, NCOs lead people. Officers are managers, and NCOs are supervisors. Officers do not lead people. They often don't have great people skills. And I'm gonna kill you. I missed. Now I'm out of ammo. My life is so hard. It's not really. Like, it's fine. In case anybody wants to know, like, I'm okay. But I... Alright, so here's the thing. I killed this glint hawk, and now I need to find where its body is. Why are you giving me weird music? Where did that body go? Body? You know, sometimes you kill a glint hawk and you can't find its body. And that's awkward. I know, life is hard. I don't have enough time to play all the TT. Like, I just want to play TTRPGs full time. All right, so look, there is a glint hawk body. Why are you giving me weird music right now? Why are you doing that? We're gonna head back this direction because I know there's a body around here somewhere. Why are you giving me the creepy music? I don't know why. Yeah, so I'm just saying, lieutenants are often a problem. I wish I had the time, energy, and people to play more TTRPGs. Yeah, I actually didn't realize that, but it makes a ton of sense, Baron given my limited experience in various. Yeah, the animation in this game is so good. So now I'm gonna say, and this is just my opinion. It's just my opinion. People can disagree with this opinion. I don't really see the point of having dual chains of command in the 21st century. Officers at lower levels basically function the way corporate internal auditors work and get the same level of respect and disrespect. High-ranking officers function basically like CEOs, CFOs, etc., and they don't really lead people; they just push agendas. My favorite LT was one in charge of me, of just me in a JTF, Joint Task Force. He had been an E4 before going to officer candidate school, called a Mustang. Yeah, we call them Mustangs too. And he knew the ins and outs of what my life consisted of. We got along well, and that was why he was why I got a Navy Achievement Medal. Oh, that's awesome. And of course, Mustangs are great, but a lot of other officers don't like Mustangs. So look, back in the day, I'm climbing up here because I think maybe this is where I left a corpse. So back in the day, one of the reasons why you had officers versus enlisted was because enlisted people couldn't read. And NCOs came out of the enlisted and they couldn't read. And they didn't, they were not capable. And look, where is my body? Where is it? Where is my body? So frustrating. Ugh. I killed that Glenhawk, everybody. It is around here somewhere.
Easier when I was a kid.
Yeah, but you're not a kid. Anyway, Where? There used to be this idea that it was hard to learn to read and not everyone could do it, but I think modern yeah, that's right. And so so back in the day, you had enlisted who didn't know how to read, but could lead troops, and you had officers who were nobles who just bought their unit and often didn't know anything about, who were not particularly good leaders. And so there was this really big distinction. And even today, to be an officer, you must have a college degree, whereas you don't need to have a college degree to have, to be enlisted. And there's often there's often a assumption of that particular. There's a class difference, right, between enlisted and officers. And the thing is that there is an officer at every level. There's an officer and an NCO at every level, right? Like there are these parallel levels. So for every, there is a squad commander who's an officer, and there's a squad commander that's an NCO, and there's a right? And then you've got a platoon leader and a platoon, and there's also a sergeant who's in charge of the platoon. For a company, there's an officer, and there's also an NCO. It's like for every level of leadership, there is a parallel lieutenant and officer. And the thing is that the NCOs don't make as much money as officers, right? Because there's a class distinction, right? And officers make way more money. They have way better housing. But I don't think we need two of each. And I think that we could just slim down our leadership systems. But people, whatever. Yeah, what got me to leave the military is that the enlisted ranks don't take intellect into account, mostly time in service. You can be pretty terrible and be in charge of people, and there's little recourse for getting them removed. There are a lot of ways in which this whole thing could be made better, because we no longer live in an old system like that. Also, I think I'm screwed, everybody. Because I need to get this stabilizer, and I killed the creature, and I don't know where its body is. I have no idea where this creature's body is. Maybe it's up there. Oh, it's right there, everybody. I found it. It's over there. I just need to get over there and we'll be fine. The USMC has a scoring system where so long as you shoot well in the range, get good physical fitness score, and don't break any rules, you'll be put in charge of folks. Oh, yeah, that's actually not how it works in the Army. In the Army, I know, you're right. All I had to do was give up, then I found it. In the Army, it's different. We have a point system in the Army as well. Look at this, just hanging out. This wasn't it. This wasn't the Glint Hawk. This wasn't the one. All right, let's see. We do have a point system. What's over here? A watcher. That's not what I need. I mean, I will go over there and I will pick it up, but it is not the watcher that I need. I actually need that Glint Hawk, that one that I killed. That was not this one. Yeah, so we do have points. You do get points for firing and for your physical fitness, but you also get points for your leadership school. You get point for education, so there's education points. There were points for exams for knowledge in your field. That was also a point system. So like there were exams for your field, there was education, both military and civilian, there was physical fitness, there was qualifying with your weapon. So there was like a bunch of different things, and promotions were only automatic. Really, once a point system got implemented, promotions were not automatic. Whether or not so you worked on points. The thing is, it was a unique mob. That's the problem. Officership is super nepotistic. Yeah, so that's the thing. Officers are very political and nepotistic and sketch, but with enlisted for E5 and E6, it's based on points, but you can have a lot of points and still not get promoted. Whether or not you get promoted is dependent on your whether or not they need. What do we have here? No, depends on whether or not they need officers, NCOs in your particular profession, right? So, yeah. So, for example, some professions it was easier to get promoted than others. For example, you might be in a job where they're just not promoting any E5s. You could be E4 promotable and just not get promoted because in your particular job they just don't need them. And if you don't get promoted, you get kicked out of the Army eventually. So I think you have 8 years total for E4 promotable. So there are people who, they were E4 promotable. They couldn't get promoted in their profession, so they had to reclassify into a different profession that actually needed NCOs, and then they could do it. And yeah, nepotism is like the politics. Nepotism and officership is something I would never really want to do with, and I would never want to deal with that. That's just not exciting to me. And then what else? But once you want to get E7 and E8, which are the two highest, it's actually a lot. They look at your entire record, and if you don't have the right kind of record, which usually involves things like a variety of assignments, both tactical and strategic, and what they're going to look at is also, and then also whether or not you've been awarded things or not. They sort of look at your entire record at that point in time. So getting up to E7 and E8 is a lot more difficult, and it's not solely based on points. There is a unique mob that I killed, and I cannot find its body. And we're just hanging out, have some conversations. Hello, Glinthawk. Where are your bodies? Where is the body? What's in the box? Yeah, it is quest-based. And there's a marker for the area, but not for the body. And that is really tricky right now, because I killed it, and its body fell somewhere, and I don't know where it fell. That sort of record looking happens at E6 for the USMC. They call them staff boards. And so as long as you stay in your fairly geared... Oh, yeah, no. I think it probably fell over a ledge. It was a glint hawk. And no, actually, you're not guaranteed to get it at all. The thing that you get is if you can become promotable as an E6, then you can retire. You can stay in for 20... Like, so... If you're E4, which is a specialist or a corporal, and you make promotable, you do all the things you need to be promotable, and you don't get promoted within 8 years, you get kicked out of the military. With E5 promotable, I think you have 12 years, maybe, to get promoted, or you get kicked out. If you're not promotable, or it might be a little bit more than 12 years, if you're an E4 and you're not promotable, I think you get kicked out after 4. Anyway, the point is after you make promotable with E6, then you can stay in for 20 years and you can retire at 20 years. But there are a lot of people who just never get promoted past E6. And sometimes it's because the positions just aren't there. Like, they will not promote you if there's not an opening in your particular profession. So if there are not any openings for E7s who are signals intelligence analysts, you're just not going to get promoted. It won't happen. Even if the board loves you and they think you're great, if there's no opening, you're just not going to get promoted. So no matter how long you're there, you could be there 20 years and just stay E6 promotable for your whole career. That is a thing. So you just may never get it if the positions aren't open. And if there are a lot of E6 promotables and there's only one position that opens up, it may not be you. Yeah. US E6, they will move you to their if you are stuck, and if you'd have to request to be moved to a different position, to a different MOS. Like, that's the thing. If the positions aren't there, you're not going to get promoted. So you'd have to request to be retrained, right? You'd have to go through retraining to get a different MOS if you really wanted to get that thing. But it would not be required. You'd have to be requested. You'd have to request it, and it may not be approved. Gang. They promote you, but you don't have the range. So, like, I'm here with this glint hawk, and I killed these glint hawks. I killed them. The body fell somewhere. The bodies hit the floor. And I don't know what floor they hit. Maybe we'll walk around and maybe we'll find it. Maybe. Staff sergeants are where the... What's tricky, because... you'll get some office work, but...
Going down fast.
Yeah, depends. You end up doing more office work than not. That's about fair. If you really want to keep doing your job and not have to do any leadership work at all, then what you would do is become a warrant officer in the Army. So you'd move to warrant officer status. We would apply to be a warrant officer, and... maybe if you were lucky, you'd get it. Maybe it dropped down here somewhere? Maybe? Yeah, we have... Hey, no.
No space.
Nope. But I feel like it should be around here somewhere, right? Like, where'd the body go? Or I wonder if maybe it'll reset. That's the question. Will it reset or will it not reset? A warrant officer is what a WO is. It's a warrant officer. And warrant officers basically stay specialized in their job. Whereas if you are a sergeant, if you hit E6 sergeant, staff sergeant and above, you're going to be doing more and more leadership.
I get it.
Is what you'll be doing. You'll just be doing a lot more leadership. And if you're doing a lot of leadership, then you will be doing your specific job a little bit less, because you'll have to split your time between leadership and doing your job. And some people don't like that. They would prefer to do their job more. And so if they don't want to do the leadership parts, they will apply to be... Let's go here. They will apply to be warrant officers. And so then all they will do is do their job. And this becomes especially relevant.
Well, that fits.
Okay,
Sure
well,
hope it works.
did that. They will be especially, and like there's some professions where you are more likely to have warrant officers than others. But if you, especially technical professions. So for example, there were a lot of warrant officers in military intelligence because there were a lot of military intelligence people who wanted to continue doing, what happens if I go here? Who wanted to continue doing intelligence work rather than move into leadership. And there were a bunch of people, there were a bunch of, like, and also people needed their expertise, right? They, like, that expertise was necessary and needed. Oh, pilots, a lot of pilots, warrant officers are often pilots. What do I have? I don't have the stabilizer. Okay. So I don't have the stabilizer, but but this one here is the actuator. I can probably fix that. Yeah, so pilots are often warrant officers in the Army. That is quite regular. So where is this piece that I need to fix?
Well, it's in better shape than it was.
Okay, so now I just need to get one more piece. And I don't know if I can, but I will try. We're gonna head back over here and hopefully they reset things. Like, that'll be my hope. The few we had in the USMC were usually in charge of artillery. Oh, a lot of pilots, a lot of military intelligence are warrant officers. No, I didn't find it, but I'm hoping that it'll reset, is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it will reset. I just put in the two parts that I had, but...
Scrabbling a bit.
They're basically... There's one part that I still just don't have. And I'm hoping that since I went away, that it will reset, and I will be able to find it. Hey. Oh, hi. How are you? I hope you're doing well. This might be it. This might be the thing that I need. I think this is it. I found it.
One of the tall next parts.
Everybody.
It's heavy.
I found it. I found it. I found it. I found it. Everyone. I found it. I feel very special. Yes. I guess the Navy and the USMC, they want pilots to be officers since that's the Navy normal, and you have to land on ships. Mostly helicopter pilots are warrant officers. I found it. I know. I think that's what it was. I think that, or they switched it up on me. It's one of the two. One of the two. But, nonetheless. What is that? Did you hear something? I'm hearing something. Oh yeah, no, they're warrant officers. And the thing is, I think it's because regular officers didn't... Regular officers are very territorial. And they don't tend to want... They want to reduce the number of officers, basically. They don't want there to be more officers. They feel like having more officers cheapens their officer status. And so when helicopter pilots became a thing, they're like, no, we don't want you to be officers, basically. Because, you know, it cheapened there. So, like, all of our, I think there are a number of warrant officers in medical professions. Doctors are officers, but I think that there are, like, some, basically, you're going to get a lot, in the Army, you're going to get warrant officers in tech professions, like tech-heavy professions is when you're going to get them. What's this?
Full already.
Oh. Usually pilots are different officers in the Navy and USMC since they are never in charge of anyone. So as long as they're flying, they're fairly easygoing and vastly different from officers. Yeah. And since they're not often in charge of people or units, they're often just modifications. Yeah, they are often anything I can, yeah, we'll get rid of that. Yeah, they're often just warrant officers. And then we have our, yeah, so basic, you're going to get a lot of warrant officers in technical fields. So military intelligence, anything that's particularly technical, where they want to keep that experience, you can decide to move from warrant. And you can't apply for warrant officer, I think, until E6, but you go from being, maybe E5, but you go into being, I think E6. You go into being a warrant officer, so they keep that experience, and they keep the expertise. And some people, you know, what am I even looking at right now? Yeah, I think it's Echo Shell. I think it's E5 is when you can first start doing it. I think that's the same in the Army. I'm looking for Echo Shells, people. Here we go. Let's disassemble 15 of those. And then I will take this. Okay. So I need to get to this tall neck, which I should be right next to. Right? I should be right next to it. Where the heck is it now? Come on, map. You should be right about here. Well, I will find you. Maybe. Maybe I won't find you. He passes the box of chocolates around so I don't eat them all. Because listening, reading with my fingers, not typing. You can apply to to apply for OCS. I think all you need, I don't think you need to be an E4. I think you just need to have the college degree. And as long as you have the college degree, then you can apply. But you have to have the college degree. Hey, Pumpkin. Oh, speaking of which, I haven't done my wrist exercises yet. I'm still working on it. It's not there yet. But I am in...
Look out below!
I'm working on it, and I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I still have a way to go. I went to the occupational therapist yesterday, and he, you know, did his work on me. This looks like it, right? Okay, this is my tall neck. These people, man. I think... Where is it? Where is it? Oop. I think it's right up there. From what I was told, you could apply below E4, but they weren't going to take you seriously because you hadn't been in enough. Oh, yeah, no, with us, it's really about the college degree. Like, you could be an E4, but if you don't have the college degree, you're never going to become an officer, because that is what they care about. They care about that college degree. College degree, class difference. Here we go.
Right.
Okay.
Just need to get the power flow through again.
What does that mean?
Wrong? At least no one's watching.
Okay. You know, Trooper, I've noticed that you've been almost dead less often since you got... Oh, yeah. I'm almost dead way less often. Like, this power armor is like... This power armor is bomb diggy is what I'm trying to tell you. My wrist feels pretty good. I just don't have the full mobility. I'm now doing. When I went yesterday. Oh.
Easy.
Oh. Uh-oh. Oh.
Right, it's never easy.
Jump on it. Go. What? Hello, Tonic. Can I now jump on you?
No way I'll be able to take a machine that big down.
No, I just want to jump on you. Can I even do that? You're not going to let me, are you? All right, fine. I'm going to have to track your movement. Okay. Where are you walking, Tall Neck? Let's climb. Let's climb.
I should be able to jump onto the tall neck from here.
The tall necks are harmless. I just have to wait for it to come around. Tall necks are harmless. They're very nice. Just like that corporate gatekeeping. Granted, there are some notable differences on a college person versus a early on. Both have their pros and cons. Later in life, it's all about faculties and personality of the individual. You know, the thing is, the problem is that the college, non-college thing in the military is just mostly class differences. And that, I think, is sort of frustrating.
All the winters.
But
coming at once.
You know, what can you do about that? What can you do about it? What can you do about it? By the way, we're not ending this stream until I've jumped on that tall neck. That's the thing. And also, this is true. It's like, yeah, it's messed up. Like, and officers tend to be, and you know, here's the thing. I don't know what it's like in the Marine Corps, but you know, in the Army, if you want to go to West Point, here's the thing. If you want to go to West Point, right? If you want to go to West Point, you have to get a recommendation from your member of Congress, right? I remember Liam saying he thought the industry wanted a good actor, but the reality was that they wanted someone easy to work with, though he framed it as fart jokes. Yeah, and okay, here we go. Where are you? It is snowing so hard. There it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay, tall neck. I'm gonna try to jump on you from here. And go. Yes.
Made it. Now to climb up to its head.
Yes. Yes. I'm very excited about this.
Urban said arrays of protest would not.
Can your congressperson recommend someone you don't know? So we'll talk about that. The USMC goes to the Naval Academy, and it's the same thing. Member of Congress or retired or active general of any type. Better if both. It also requires a lot of the private, also required for a lot of the private military academies. Yeah, and so when I got out of the Army, I briefly considered, because I hadn't gone to college yet, right? I'd gotten out of the Army, but I hadn't gotten to college. And I briefly thought, and I wanted to go to college, and I thought, maybe I could look into West Point. Like, I could think about it, right? I should, like, ponder maybe... I'll look into it. Like, I didn't think I was going to go to the, like, go back in the military because I left for a reason. But I thought about it, right? Like, I thought about it. And I decided to look into going to West Point, and if you needed a letter from your congressperson, so I contacted my congressperson and I said, hey, I am a former military person. I'm thinking about going to, West Point. What would I do to get a recommendation from you, my local congressperson? And they were like, yeah, unless we know you, basically, you're not going to get that recommendation. And I was like, so what would I need to do? Like, how do I? And so it's like, maybe I would have to volunteer for their campaign, maybe, or like get an internship in their office before I could get a letter. I was like, this does not seem like a very doable thing for me as a person who's not well connected. So, and also was like, and also I left the Army for the reason I probably should not be thinking about going to West Point. I should probably just not do that. So I didn't. Yeah. Do you think the more of a commodity college becomes, that will go away? Or do you think it will be like the corporate world where it will be masters that become the new gate? Here's the thing. Only 1/3 of people in the U.S. go to college. 2/3 of the U.S. still doesn't go to college. And Baron says, I looked into the Citadel when I was in high school, glad I didn't. Yeah, me too. And I think that that's a thing that people don't necessarily... Everyone likes to... People say a lot of things. They say, everyone goes to college. But actually, that's not true. Not everyone does go to college. A lot of people do not go to college. And I think that that is something that we overlook quite a lot. I am still streaming, but I'm almost done. Does that include people that go but don't finish? That's actually a very good question. I think it's only 1/3 of people who have college degrees. So that might be people... Yeah, so I don't... That's a very good point. I have an AAS, and I think that counts me as the not college part. Oh, actually, I don't think so. I think it actually counts associates as well. So I think that's 1/3 of people who have any kind of college degree, including an associate's. How are hand workers training organized? That depends. We have... some people will just do apprenticeships. So I know people who wanted to... I know somebody who was going into one of those positions, and they just did an apprenticeship. Because you know how they are. I mean, school teachers get paid crap, and they have to go and get a degree. Me and my wife now, I have college degrees. We both went to some school but didn't finish. Yeah, so it's really only like 1/3, and we still also, and so we're technical. So Ice Bunny, some people will do apprenticeships. That'll be how some people get their technical training. We also have technical schools. So there are technical schools which are sort of like your technische whatever it is. So we have some technical schools, and we have apprenticeships. That tends to be how people do a lot of it. Yeah, right. So technical schools do not count for college degrees. They don't count that way. I didn't realize it was still that high. I just know that there is a huge push. And what I'm saying is that not everyone is suited for college. And using that as a gate, there are too many. Tech schools are no cheaper. Yeah, and the thing is that there's a perception that everyone goes to college, but it actually isn't true. So that's a thing I think to think about. It's like that idea that there's this perception that everybody in college has sex, and that is also not true. It's still like, yeah, 30% is still that high, but it's counting, yeah, but it doesn't count technical college. For the record, I think millennials are near 50% to read. Oh, that's really interesting, Krellin. That's very interesting. You know what's really interesting, Crit Witch, is you say that not everyone is suited for college. I would point out, though, that college itself is changing, that as people start using college as technical schools, which I don't think they should do, college itself is changing quite a lot. More and more colleges are becoming less like what they used to be. So there's that. 39% of millennials have a bachelor's. That's very interesting. I think a lot of it is that the vast majority of high school graduates start college. But you have to finish high school. Yes, Ice Bunny, you have to finish high school, but high school is not like your schools. Our high school is different from the German system, and that has different results in different ways. On paper, I'm listed as a technical school because the X-ray tech program I went through was a hospital-based program instead of a university one. Yeah, and we still have a lot of those. You have a bachelor's PH and you are a bachelor. There are a lot of for-profit centers that are really terrible, and a lot of politicians want to cut down on critical thinking skills being taught in colleges because they don't think that's useful, and that's messed up. That is messed up. I'm gonna chat. Let me manual save. New save. Let's save there, and we'll overwrite the save data. Yeah, but your 9th grade, no, but 9th grade, you're 14, have to decide what you want to do. In 12th grade, you're 18. Yes, so we don't do that in, our system is very different from Germany. In Germany, in Bavaria, you have to decide at 12 what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And if you are an immigrant and your language skills aren't that good, you may not test well, then you don't get to go to college at all. Or if you're from a working class family, your parents might say to you, oh, don't go to gymnasium, so you'll never go to college. Or like a friend of mine who was a woman, her parents said, you're just going to get married anyway, so don't go to gymnasium. And so she can't go to college either. So there's also in, like, when I was living in Germany, I knew people would judge people based on what school they went to. They're like, I was talking to this woman, she was a baker, she was very interesting, we were chatting, and then my friends who went to law school, they're like, oh, she's a baker? That means that she went to Hauptschule, which means she's probably stupid, why are you talking to her, right? So class systems are baked into what school you go to in Germany in a way that doesn't happen in the same way in the US, because in the US, everybody goes to high school, so your high school might be a better high school than my high school, but I could tell you what high school I went to and you're not gonna know what it is. But we all end up having a high school degree. And so, yeah, right? So there are ways in which, there's a way in which the system is very different here in the US. Pretty sure the stats don't count AAs because all I'm seeing are bachelors, some college, high school, no high school. And some college would include both AAs and non-graduates. Oh, that's interesting, Krellin. Turning college into high school, memorize what we tell you and repeat it back to us, and that's what makes you smart. You are in a field where there are a lot of AA and tech training. You're going to get married. Well, that's a statement to unpack. Yep, that's a huge statement to unpack. It was like messed up. It was really messed up. At my high school in 9th grade, some kids would start going to a tech program, and some people would treat them like they were dumb, and that's messed up, right? Ice Buddy, in Denmark, you go to school from K to 9, and then you often do gymnasium or job training, and one with a high school degree. Yeah, so you can't, if you don't go to gymnasium, university is free, but if you don't go to gymnasium, you can't go to university. And also I was talking to my friends in Hauptschule, so the lower one, because they had 3 different school levels in Germany, Hauptschule, Realschule, and Gymnasium. And if you go to Gymnasium, you can go to university. If you go to Realschule, you can do technical college, technical training, you can do things like nursing, secretarial stuff, things like that. If you want to be a musician, you would go to Realschule as well. Hauptschule, you can basically just do things like baker, bricklayer, painter, factory worker, things like that. And in Hauptschule, they don't teach you any critical thinking. And I asked you don't learn algebra. And I asked my friends who have college degrees and have come from higher class statuses, I was like, don't you think that's kind of messed up that if you go to Hauptschule, you don't learn any critical thinking or things like that? And they said to me, oh, well, if you're going to be in a factory, you don't want to have too many critical thinking skills. It'll just make you unhappy. And I was like, what an effed up system is this? Like, this is messed up, man. I was glad to hear Governor Newsom approved 2 free years of community college for first-time, full-time California students. Oh, that's great. They would catch the bus and start going to tech school and high school for credit. And when they graduated high school, they would be already be apprentices in their trade. Some of these folks had houses when my other peers were neck deep in college. Oh yeah, here's the thing. Those trades, they make a lot of money. Well, they don't necessarily, but they can make a lot of money. A lot of schools in the States, the perception is if you have any intelligence, you will graduate from college regardless of what you want. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure for that. Eugenics, I mean, social engineering is alive and well. Yeah, all U.S. high schools are effectively gymnasium, yes. I would say maybe effectively, but not technically, because if you graduate from high school in U.S., you are not qualified to go to universities in Germany. Gymnasiums are basically like getting your associates. So it's like our high school plus 2 years. So it's I think my understanding is that a gymnasium education in Germany is basically like getting an associate's degree. Right. The German school system is bad, but it has not changed since they had an emperor, and homeschooling is forbidden in Germany. Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. Europe has their class system based in their schools, and some of those countries have relaxed it or reformed it in some ways, but you still have O levels versus A levels in the UK. I think France still has some sort of system like this as well. Systems where you are sort of like your class status is baked into your education in a way that you cannot get around. Whereas I went to 3 different high schools in the US. I went to a school in San Francisco, which I would consider like a middle sort of high school. Are there remedial, regular, advanced classes in the US? In high school, you can take... But the thing is that in the end, you still have a high school diploma. And that's the difference, right? You can take advanced classes, you can take remedial classes, and I have taken both. But in the end, you still get a high school diploma. And that's the difference, right? I get the hate from my uncles now because I have a BA and they don't. And so like with that, so I went to 3 different high schools. The first one I went to was just like a middle sort of high school. The second one I went to, that was in San Francisco. The second one I went to in Oakland was an underfunded inner city school that had a lot of problems. And then the last high school I went to was a suburban high school with a lot of money that had a great like reputation. Yeah, no, they don't. So, but it wouldn't matter which of those 3 high schools I graduated from, I would still just have a high school diploma. And there are going to be impacts from going to a national exemplary school with a lot of money versus going to that school in Oakland that was underfunded in terms of opportunities, like what kind of hope you would have. Like most of the people in the Oakland school, they didn't think they could go to college, and they didn't have a lot of, and also there were not really good jobs advertised in that Oakland neighborhood. So like they had like lowered expectations of what they could do in their life, but they were still qualified to go to college by getting a high school degree. And yeah, but at the end you still have, there may be quality, although I will say, just side note, that I had some of the best teachers that I had at that Oakland school. I had some of the best teachers. They were depressed and unappreciated and underfunded, and they were a little bit miserable, but I had some of the best teachers I had at that poor Oakland school. But if you're in a rich school, yeah, so basically, you're going to get different kinds of opportunities while you're there. If you have a rich school, they're going to have, great computers, and they're going to have all this sort of stuff. But what's important to note, because the thing is, you don't go to teach in Oakland unless you really are committed. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't teach in like a poor rural school or a poor inner city school unless like you really are serious about that. So there tend to be some really great teachers in those schools, but Yeah, so ours is more socially defined class system rather than a systematically defined one. I think that's really the case. But the difference is, and I think this is really important, that in the end, I can tell you what high school I graduated from, and unless you're from there, you don't know anything about my high school, but you know that I have a high school diploma. And with that high school diploma, I may not be able to get, if I didn't go to a good school, maybe I didn't get good grades or whatever, I may not be able to go to Stanford, but you know what I can do? I can go to a community college. I can always go to a community college, and from that community college, I can get good grades, and from there, I can transfer to Stanford. So, you cannot judge me based on what high school I went to if you don't know my high school, right? I've got a high school diploma, and that is, right, that puts me on the same level as everybody else, at least technically on paper. And from there, I can make my way to different spaces. And, right, whereas in Germany, they can judge you based on what school you went to. They can say, oh, you went to a Hauptschule? Oh, you're stupid. And then if you go to the Hauptschule, you cannot go to a technical school, and you cannot go to university. So you are locked in to being a manual laborer and not even a technical one for the rest of your life. And that's just a very big difference. Here's a harsh truth, says Forla Santo. You're actually far, far better off dropping out of school and getting a GED than going directly to college, and then going directly to college and finishing high school. You have better opportunities because of all the programs available, and it looks better on both college entrance and on resumes, and it shows you are smart enough to get a GED, where a high school diploma means absolutely nothing. Yeah, well, and PH says, well, you can, but you need more schooling. Basically, you can't with that schooling, you're gonna have to actually go and get more schooling. And one of the problems I found with working class people in Germany, the problem is not the working class people, the problem is the system. That if you're a working class person in Germany and you go to that Hauptschule, at least in Bavaria, I don't know in other spaces, in Bavaria it's pretty rural, you are very likely to have started working, need to support your family, you probably get married, then start having kids pretty young. And once you're locked into that life where you're working, you have kids, you have bills, you're married, you probably cannot stop working in order to get the schooling that would allow you to then go to college, right? Like you end up getting economically sort of boxed in, right? Happened to be one of the professors in the history department. That douche was such a snob. Yeah, and so I mean I was like, Europe, so great, and then you get there and you're like, oh wow, wait, this system does not work like you think it does, and that it was like, it was very eye-opening for me. I had people in law school who used to do things like construction work, who night schooled their way up, very hard workers. Yeah, like it is like that is really hard, right? That is really, really hard. Like it's really hard, and some people can do it, but and what I really liked is that I mean, I went to high school, I did not have the greatest grades, I just sort of did my thing, and I was able to,
There's frost between my teeth.
I was able to make it, right? Like, my mom was on welfare when I was a kid, and we did not have money, and I graduated with a high school diploma, and I joined the Army. You know what I mean? Like, I did the thing that a lot of working class kids do in the U.S., and in the end of it, I was able to go to college, and then get a PhD, and become a professor, and if I had grown up in Germany, that would not have been a possibility for me. And that is just by the way the schooling system works, as opposed to an entire generation of Americans which are boxed in but prioritize their education and are now in untenable economic situations. Yeah, and I just think they're very different systems. They're very different systems, and we in the U.S. have to do something about bringing down college costs. That's an issue. But of course, it's also tricky because one of the reasons why college costs are, I would never have tried to do an Abi if I stayed in Germany. Mm-hmm. And Abitur is the degree you get when you go to Gymnasium, which is their version of high school plus, the one that will allow you to go to university. And one of the things that's really interesting, because I was talking to somebody who was an admin person, and one of the reasons why college costs have ballooned so much, have gone up so much in the last 20 years, 20, 30 years, is not because they're paying teachers more. They're not. or not because they're hiring more teachers. They're not. As a matter of fact, they're paying professors less. They're hiring fewer professors and hiring more adjuncts they pay really, really poorly, and then they don't give them health insurance, and then people sort of like are homeless professors. So that's a thing. And so it's not like universities are more expensive because they're paying professors more. That's not the case. One of the reasons why universities are more expensive is because they're spending a lot more on support services for students. So before, 20, 30 years ago, there was no mental health. And now in universities, to have a modern university, you have to have a counseling department. Something like 80% of all the students at the school that I teach go to the counseling department and see a therapist regularly. So you go from basically not having any mental health to having enough mental health to be able to service thousands of students regularly. So all of a sudden now you have to spend a lot more money on having mental health counselors. We also are now working to be more accessible than we used to be. So now we have accessibility offices, and we need a bunch of people in accessibility offices so that people who have learning disabilities, because people are now being diagnosed with learning disabilities in ways that they were not at all 20, 30 years ago. Before, people who had learning disabilities just couldn't go to college because there was no support for them. But now we have a whole support network so that people who have learning disabilities can go to college, but that's also going to charge money. And then we have, just generally speaking, we have spent a lot more money on support services for students, and that has just cost that has made the cost of college just a lot more expensive. Pumpkin, you say 80% is very high. It's Pumpkin. It is a different time now. People. There's less stigma on mental health care, so a lot more people are going. It is Gen Z is different, and there's a lot more. Yeah, it's different, right? It's just a very different time period, and a lot of those costs, and we also spend a lot more on counseling, academic counseling. Crit Twitch is talking about how the transitions are hard. So when I went to college, and by the way, I did not go to college that long ago. I graduated college in 2001, so it wasn't that long ago, because I started college late. But when I went to college, we didn't have academic counseling. Right? They gave us a list saying, this is what you need to do. I can say Crit Witch, it's okay. They gave us a list of the classes we need to have when we graduated, and when we were a junior, we had to go and meet with the registrar to see if we were on track, and that was it. We did not have advising in that way. We did not have counseling in that way. They just expected us to do what we needed to do to graduate. And nowadays, it's a lot more important for colleges to make sure that students don't get lost, don't slip through the cracks, and that they do graduate. And so now we have my school where I'm at. We have hello, Ms. Barnard. How are you? Did you go to Barnard University? Levi says my academic counseling involved getting yelled at by my head of my department for taking a class from a similar department, right? Are you going to transfer? Yeah. So we had, by the way, Ms. Barnard, welcome in. We're ending the stream, but we're kind of talking about education. But we have nowadays at my college where I'm at, we have academic. So as a professor, I am a first year advisor for students. So I'm in advising them. They have their own academic advisors in the student affairs office. They have a college transition advisor, which helps them transition. We have RAs and then also community student advisors. So if you come in, and then we have mental health care, we have career center advisors, we have if you're a we have first generation college student advising, counseling mentors. We have if you walk in to my college as a first year 18-year-old, you're going to have probably 10 different people whose job is to make your transition into college easier. and I had 0 of them, right? And I'm not saying that people today should not have those. I feel like clearly advising is needed. Oh, all right, Barnard, I will call you just Barnard. And because of that, yeah, Krellin's academic counseling was, well, you clearly know what you're doing and you have too many credits anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and graduate you, right? Right? Yeah. No, Ice Bunny, it's not true that you're considered a kid till 21. You're a legal adult at 18 in the U.S. You can join the military, you can be drafted, you are legally responsible for contracts you make, you can vote, you can smoke, you can basically do everything in the U.S. at 18 except drink alcohol and rent a car. Drinking alcohol is 21 and renting cars 25. Although weirdly, if you are married, you can drink alcohol. So if you are 18 and married, or 17 and married, you can drink alcohol as a married person, or stay in a hotel. Yeah. So there are a couple of things, but you're considered an adult. You're considered an adult at 18. Rent a cop? Yes. Rent a car? No. So there's just a much larger infrastructure to take care of students now than there was 20 years ago, and that difference is one of the things that has caused costs to balloon for college education. It's a huge amount of support staff and support resources to help students, and that's like one of the things that is making college so much more expensive. And that's the world we live in, you know what I mean? Like that is nope, you cannot drink. That is the one thing. But remember, of course, Ice Buddy, do not forget that we had prohibition for 13 years where no one was allowed to drink, right? It was illegal. And also in the United States, we still have dry counties. There are still counties in the US where it's illegal to sell alcohol. So, you know, we have a slightly more complicated relationship to alcohol than a lot of other countries. Because there was a whole time when nobody was allowed to drink. It was illegal for 13 years, 1920 to 1933. So, you know, we have a complicated relationship to alcohol in the US. Very complicated. Right. Whereas like there are like countries where you can start drinking beer and wine at 16. But not, yeah. Barantor says, there are dry counties and weird rules on sell times here in Kentucky, though it's gotten better. Used to be you could not buy any alcohol on Sunday, right? So like, there you go. And also looking at college students, do you really want them to have easier access to alcohol? Yeah, what I typed. Yes. Trooper Denmark is the deep wetlands when it comes to drinking. You know what, Crit Twitch? Ooh, can I get Crit Twitch in there with a slightly different rhythm to make it sound a bit more like Crit Twitch? Crit Twitch. I might be able to do it without. I'm gonna work on it. Yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's just important to look at frat culture is something else, and that's another thing too, that U.S. colleges are really different from a lot of colleges in other countries, and that a lot of our colleges are residential, and so you also then have to have dormitories, and the standards for those dormitories have gone up and up and up.
Maybe a chance to
and it's like it's and then yeah, it's complicated. PH says in the Netherlands, our drinking age was increased from 16 to 18. Really? When did that happen? Teens were doing a lot of irresponsible drinking, but thanks to the increase, well, nothing's changed really, because that's the thing, people are going to get the alcohol. You know, what's interesting is that the drinking age was not always 21 in the US. That's actually relatively recent. That changed in the 80s. I just need to rebrand. In Denmark, you could smoke and drink beer and wine with 15 and 16 in Germany, back in the days when I was a kid. Have they changed it in Denmark and Germany? 2014? Oh, that's interesting. So, the drinking age got lowered to 6 to 18. In most, the drinking age was 18. It got lowered to 18, I think, as part of, in most places, as part of like the student revolutions. Krellin, it's interesting. That's the story, that Europeans are more responsible with their drinking, with less DUIs. That's the story. I will say that when I was in England, people were drunk and irresponsible all over the place. But people had fewer cars. Also in Germany, a lot of high-functioning alcoholics. They drank so much in Germany, so much. They were just very functional. But they, like, there was a lot of irresponsible drinking in Germany and England. I don't know about other places. I haven't been there. But there was the perception that there was only irresponsible drinking in the U.S., which I thought was really interesting. See, Rissa points out it has to do with states wanting federal money and that being contingent on 21-year-old drinking age, right? And that happened with the push by Mothers Against Drunk Driving in the 80s. There was a whole big, because basically the drinking age was 18, which is one of the reasons why the nightlife, there were so many nightclubs and nightlife that was happening in the 60s and 70s with all the music, right? Because young people could go to music venues. But then Mothers Against Drunk Driving, this big, huge push in the 80s to change the drinking laws. And then Reagan said that basically if you want federal funds for highways, you need to up your drinking laws to 21. And that's basically what happened. That's what happened. Smoking is 18. You can drink beer and wine with 16. Oh, so it's still 16 for drinking. Yeah, that's right. See, PH is correct. Less driving is what causes that, because teens don't have cars. I don't think you can drive in Germany until you're 18, whereas in the States you can drive when you're 16, right? So there's like different driving laws which change some things, because you can drive at 16 in the US, but I think 18 in Germany. And yeah, right. So they don't drive drunk except public transportation because they also can't drive. They can't drive at 16 like we can here. Yeah, but the drinking is crazy. Louisiana was the last to change at 21 and got a lot of federal high money withheld till they did. See? I barely drink now, but as a teen, yeah. Young people can go to music things because they have the energy after school work rather than those old folks. Fair. According to this article I found, South Africa is the worst country for DUI, followed by Canada, then the US, then Australia, France, Italy, then a sharp drop down to the UK. It's also expensive and difficult to get a license in Germany from what I learned in German class. That's also true. It's expensive, it's difficult, and I think it's 18. Barentor notes, here in Kentucky, you can drive at 14 if you are in a farm licensed vehicle and don't leave the county or go on federal highways, right? So like you can actually drive pretty young in the US depending on what kind of driving we're talking about. So like, like it's just different markers. Here, you just show up and don't sideswipe anybody during a driving test and you're good. Yeah, and I think that's also a thing. When I was in England, people drank abusively. Like, they drank abusively. It was ridiculous. But they didn't drive. They took taxis, right? So, or they walked or stumbled. So there wasn't as many DUIs because they weren't driving, but they were certainly drinking. It was... The difference between the U.S., Australia, and France isn't statistically significant. Oh, that's really interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. So there's interesting stuff, right? I think that what ends up happening in the U.S. is you get a lot of binge drinking because people under 21 are not allowed to get alcohol, so they binge drink. But when I was in Germany and the UK, visiting the UK, living in Germany, they didn't binge drink, but they just drank a lot all the time. Like, it was regular to have 3 or 4 liters of beer every day. Every day. So they wouldn't be like, it's the weekend, let's binge drink. They just drank all the time. And they didn't drink like a glass. They drank a lot all the time. I'm just saying. That's all. Pumpkin said, I've had a single sip of a margarita, and that's the only alcohol I've ever consumed, despite being of age for years now. And that's the thing, a lot of people actually also don't drink. Yeah, right? Yeah. Or how old are you to get your fingers at the funny tobacco in the coffee shops? How old do you have to be? Well, I'd say that taking a taxi or walking home after getting roaring drunk is being more responsible. That's fair. That's fair. But Kellen is also teetotaler. As I sit here drinking my pint of Doom Bar, I wonder where you got that impression. I don't drink at home, and I never leave my house. So I don't drink often. I technically drink. I will drink alcohol, but I was a super taster. Most alcohol tastes gross. So I don't drink often. I will drink, but I don't drink often. Atomica says, I'm currently in dry mode, but lucked out to never be a heavy drinker. Yeah, I'm not a heavy drinker either. The worst thing about being drunk, the worst thing is being around drunk people. Ugh, drunk people are the worst. Trooper only drinks at cons, confirmed. That is... Yeah. I don't only drink at cons, but that has been the only drinking I've had in a while. Like drinking at Gen Con was the first time I've drunk in a year, maybe. So I don't only drink at cons, and actually sometimes I also don't drink at cons. So for example, this Gen Con, I did meet and greet, so I was meeting people, and those meetings are happening in places that had alcohol, and so then I did have an alcoholic beverage here and then. But like last Gen Con, I didn't do anything like that at all, and I didn't drink at all. So just lots of water. I like pretty cocktails. I drank a Corona on the porch after finishing mowing this morning. Atomic editions have always been food related. But when I drink, do I drink Dos Equis? No, because beer is bitter and gross tasting, Krellin. So I just have the pretty cocktails. Yes. Krista says, I occasionally have a drink, but I can buy a 6-pack of hard cider and it will last me a year. And my roommate is a teetotaler. Yeah. By the way, folks, it is like 3:40 and I need to go. Because I should eat some food, but I need to get groceries. And then I need to read this book, and then I need to write a letter of recommendation for someone, a tenure letter. So I need to go. That's what I need to do. I have to be out of here. None of this exciting talk. I need to eat, I need to get some groceries, and I need to do all the things. But I want to say this was such a lovely conversation. And, cornbread. Cornbread. Oh, I love cornbread. I want cornbread. But also, we just got some bits. I'm going to look after myself. Hey, if anybody wants to know when I'm streaming next, this is really important. The next time you will find me streaming, and I will update my calendar. I think I've updated the calendar on the sheet, but I haven't put the little image. The next time I'm streaming is Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Little Red Dot's channel, little_red_dot, and I will be playing Dev, the pilot in a Scum and Villainy RPG called The Purloin Code. And the last we left our heroes, they were a little bit stranded in space after an EMP charge and got caught in the gravity well of a planet, and we're gonna maybe crash on a planet and die. That's where we are right now. I hope we can find a way not to crash on a planet and die. That and some people died. I should look up Barentor, there's this really great recipe about make a tamale pie. We make sort of like a chili, and then you pour cornbread mix into the chili, and then you bake it, and then the cornbread rises to the top, so it's like chili on the bottom and cornbread on the top. And who does not want that? That is just like, it's in the joy of cooking, and I recommend it. Pork loin code. We are still mid-crash is where we're at. So bold move, TPK maybe. Tamale pie is so good. Yes, so good. I'm just saying, I want that. Now I want it. I also want tuna casserole. There are many things that I want. But you can catch me on Wednesday for the Purloin Code, the Pork Loin Code. I am in all likelihood, I will not be able to stream on Thursday and Saturday because I have a guest over and I will be entertaining a guest. It is possible that my guest may be off and then I might stream. So we're gonna say no for streams, but if I do stream on a Thursday or a Saturday, I will let you know. However, after next week, my schedule will be regular again. So, that's it. Yes, before I go, I've missed you all. I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad to see all of your shining faces, although I'm not actually seeing your faces. I'm just seeing your shining names in chat. So thank you. We didn't get a whole lot done in Horizon Zero Dawn, but we're getting back in the swing of things. We've got a lot to talk about. So thanks everybody. Take care of yourselves, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Bye everybody. Eat.